Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our City Council meeting. Today is Monday, May 16th, 2022. It's approximately 1 p.m. Before we have our Pledge of Allegiance, I'm going to ask you to please rise for a brief moment of silence as we reflect back on the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces as they protect our interests around the globe, as well as the courageous men and women of the Las Cruces Police Department and the Las Cruces Fire Department as they keep our city safe 24/7, 365. Councilor Graham, if you join me in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now we're going to have our pets of the week, and Jennifer Martinez from our communications office will be sharing their bios and their pictures.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm Jennifer Martinez with our city's communications office, and I will start with our beautiful black cat named Gypsy. Gypsy is about a year old, and she does have some patches of orange in her shiny coat. Gypsy loves toys, cat trees, and scratching posts, all those things that keep a young kitty entertained. She's been hanging out at a foster home right now, but she is hoping she can find a permanent home to call her own. And here is Monica. This sweetie is the star of the show. She is so friendly and she loves walks. She can, however, after that walk, roll around in the dirt to cool off. This girl loves for you to rub her belly and she's very willing to learn. Just give her a chance and she will not let you down. Please call the Animal Services Center if you'd like to make your life 1,000,000 times happier. It even is exponentially greater for these animals. The number to call is 382-0018. Be sure to have the animal number on hand. For Monica, it's 41782. And for Gypsy, it's 39045. And this weekend is Best Friends National Adoption Weekend. This Friday through Sunday, all cat and dog adoptions are sponsored by Bounty. That's the paper towel company. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, next is going to be our Jobs of the Week, and Dr. Francisco Payadas, the Deputy Director of Economic Development, will be presenting.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. For this week's Jobs of the Week, a long-awaited job in the City of Las Cruces. We have a community health coordinator position open at the City of Las Cruces, and this position is paying between $34.71 to $50 an hour, depending on the experience, of course. This position will be closing on June 6th of 2022. We also have an administrative assistant senior, and this is with New Mexico State University, paying $15.43, and this position will be closing on May 26th of 2022. There are also positions available with American Beverages, and these are sales representatives with relief, convenience, and gas, and these are paying $17.87 and closing on the June the 8th of 2022. There's also certified nursing assistant positions available with Mesilla Valley Hospice. These are paying $15 an hour and closing on the 11th of June of 2022. And there's also a bilingual customer service representative, and this is with Allstate Insurance Company, paying $13.50 an hour, and this position will be closing on the 11th of June of 2022. For a full list of jobs, internships, and volunteer opportunities, please visit employeenm.com as well as governmentjobs.com/careers and /Las Cruces. And as always, the information from our friends at New Mexico Workforce Connections, it's at 524-6250, and they're located at 226 South Alameda Boulevard in downtown Las Cruces. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Dr. Payadas. As I look around, I see a familiar face. It's Barbara Hubbard. If you want to please join me up here, if you want to, down here. Yes, ma'am, please. I'm glad you were able to make it today. So, I started this award several years ago, and I thought for sure, you would have been the first one to get it. And the other day, over there in, I guess we were at the Aggie basketball tournament, and I said, hey, Mother Hubbard, did I give you this award? She says, I don't think so. And I thought, well, I need to give it to you. So I have a little bit of a bio here I'd like to present. So Barbara Hubbard affectionately known as Mother Hubbard, served as Director of Special Events at New Mexico State University from 1968 to 1996, and is credited with bringing the first ever concert to the Pan American Center. Through the years, Hubbard attracted to Las Cruces numerous entertainers from all genres and employed thousands of students to work the concerts. Hubbard's American Collegiate Talent Showcase Scholarship Program has provided opportunities for hundreds of students throughout the U.S. to work internships in the performing arts. Hubbard will undoubtedly be best known for attracting some of the best names in entertainment to Las Cruces, including the likes of Garth Brooks, Trisha Yearwood, George Strait, Tina Turner, Charlie Pride, U2, Kiss, Bob Hope, the Eagles, Pearl Jam, Whitney Houston, Foreigner, Jeff Durham, Carrie Underwood, Brad Paisley, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Elton John, Billy Joel, Van Halen, Prince, Metallica, Chicago, and the Harlem Globetrotters. And I know personally, we accidentally left off Rush and Journey, because I know you provided those. Yeah, I know they're coming again. Professional boxing cards, wrestling matches, circuses, outdoor concerts, all at Aggie Memorial Stadium. And other traveling extravaganzas have attracted thousands more visitors to Las Cruces during Barbara Hubbard's illustrious career. Barbara Hubbard's shows at the Pan American Center have attracted concert goers from El Paso, Albuquerque, Tucson, and beyond. The tourism revenue generated throughout the years by Barbara's tireless promotions and are impossible to measure. But it's safe to say her dedication has contributed greatly to our community. When country music megastar Garth Brooks was considering the 2017 World Tour stop in Las Cruces, his crew and concert organizers faced several hurdles that cast doubt on the show, let alone 5. As it turned out, they could be held at New Mexico State University's Pan American Center. The limited size of the venue's tunnel entrance into the Pan Am floor presented difficulties that would force the crew to dismantle certain sections of the tour's massive stage before it could be taken inside the building. The sections would then have to be reassembled once on the Pan Am floor. It was a daunting task that no road crew wanted to deal with all the complexities. So the big boss, Garth Brooks, said, no, we're going to the Pan American Center as a personal thank you to his longtime friend and mentor, Barbara Hubbard. The former director of special events at NMSU who retired in 1996, which you wouldn't know because she's still working, but that's okay. But you're not on the payroll, huh? No. You get all that free for all that work for nothing. Okay, but she still attracted tirelessly to artists in Las Cruces. Brooks' world tour sold out 5 shows. I remember that. They just had a day after, 3 days in a row. Attracted more than 60,000 fans to Las Cruces over a 3-day period in April 2017. Concert goers from 47 states purchased tickets to the shows, and Barbara Hubbard's legacy was cemented, if it wasn't already, as a pioneer in promotions and local tourism. So here are some did-you-know facts about Barbara Hubbard. Earlier this year, Visit Las Cruces honored Barbara Hubbard as a pioneer in local tourism. From August 1978 to the present, she has served as the executive director of the American Collegiate Talent Showcase, formerly called the Bob Hope Search for the Top 10 in Collegiate Talent. Barbara Hubbard was a teacher, physical education teacher, and cheerleader coach at Las Cruces High School in the early 1960s, it says. How can that be? You look like you're in your 70s. How can? Thank you. Okay. Lou Henson, NMSU all-time winningest basketball coach, who also served as NMSU's athletic director from the late 60s to the mid-70s, called Barbara Hubbard to open the Pan American Center and to be the first one to be its business manager. Hubbard managed athletics and sports at the Pan Am, running the building with the help of the students. It was then she saw an opportunity to bring concerts and other acts. Barbara Hubbard is a mother of 2 sons with 5 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren. On July 12th, Barbara Hubbard will celebrate her 95th birthday. So this is really a long time in coming. To Barbara, Mother Hubbard, in recognition of your commitment and dedication to helping Las Cruces make it a better community, May 2022, the Mayor's Distinguished Service Award.
to all of you citizens of Las Cruces, New Mexico, I thank you for this award. But 50% and more go to my students because they make me look good. Thank you. P.S. Journey's on sale.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to Councilor Graham, who has a proclamation she'd like to make.
And I was hoping that Mayor Pro Tem Gondara would join me. This is an issue very near to her heart, and she's dedicated a lot of advocacy and time to this, so I was hoping, thank you, she would join me. And Roseanne Vasquez? Thank you so much. And Logan. So, the proclamation reads, whereas May is National Mental Health Awareness Month, and whereas resilience leaders of Doña Ana County and the local Collaborative 3, LC3, have conducted extensive data collection, assessed the community's needs and priorities in behavioral health care, and are working collectively to reduce stigma and close the gaps to provide equitable access to essential services for our community to thrive. And whereas 1 in 5 individuals experience a mental health condition, and over 35% of Doña Ana County reported needing and lacking mental health services. And whereas 36% of high school students report having persistent feelings of sadness and hopelessness, with 14% seriously considering suicide and 9% attempting suicide in Doña Ana County. And whereas Doña Ana County services go underutilized for various reasons, including stark stigma surrounding mental health, lack of information about providers and services, long wait lists, no insurance coverage, and high costs. And whereas lack of access to mental health services is disproportionately salient for vulnerable populations such as rural and secluded populations, non-native English speakers, children, and low-income populations in Doña Ana County. And whereas programs, services, and partnerships which are dedicated to providing support to marginalized, underserved, and unserved populations in Doña Ana County are vital in the fight to eliminating the substantial and inequitable lack of access and awareness surrounding mental health. And whereas resilience leaders of Doña Ana County recognizes and acknowledges that behavioral health care, which includes mental health and substance use disorder, is one of the 5 vital services essential for our community to thrive. And whereas the local Collaborative 3, LC3, aspires to build the ideal behavioral health system that strategically addresses the gaps in the current behavioral health infrastructure using the collective impact strategy framework and through the collective work of the LC3 Game Changer Action Teams in support of housing, client advocacy and access, children and families, and the Strategic Hub. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of the City of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2022 as Mental Health Month in the City of Las Cruces, New Mexico, and recognize and vow to bolster movements, organizations, and community-led collaboratives such as Resilience Leaders and LC3 and their efforts to create equitable access to mental health services for all residents in Las Cruces. As the Mayor and City Council, we also call upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools in Las Cruces to commit to reduce the stigma in mental health by increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, highlighting the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and striving to meet the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people experiencing adverse mental health conditions. Signed, Ken Miyagashi, Mayor, and attested by Christine Rivera, City Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor Miyagashima, Mayor Pro Tem Cassandra Gondara, City Manager and City Council. My name is Roseanne Vasquez, and I am the LC3 Collaborative Coordinator, and I'm joined today by my colleague Logan Howard, who is our new LC3 Community Organizer. As you heard in the proclamation, LC3 is the behavioral health sector of the Resilience Leaders of Doña Ana County, and we are a collective impact strategy initiative that seeks to build the ideal behavioral health system to close the gaps in services for individuals, family, and youth in our communities in behavioral health. Families and Youth Innovations Plus is the backbone agency of LC3, and FYI has been an established nonprofit here in Las Cruces and Doña Ana County for over 40 years. I want to thank the City of Las Cruces for recognizing the importance of acknowledging that mental health affects all of us and is a critical part of our overall health. Millions of people experience mental health and/or substance use disorder every day, especially in the aftermath of our devastating global pandemic. The pandemic not only highlighted the inequities that were lying in plain view, but also highlighted the nation's apathy to address these systemic inequities like poverty and racism that intersect with mental health and have had an adverse impact in our lives for decades. I recently attended a meeting with policymakers here locally and in Santa Fe at our Roundhouse, and was asked to define mental and behavioral health. And sadly, the first word that came to my mind is stigma. Of course, this is not what mental health is, but the stigma that has been associated with receiving services has also been a barrier to both understanding mental health and to accessing services. It is time to not only reduce the stigma surrounding mental health, but to end it. Mental health is simply health, and the best mental health care should be just like the best physical health care. And in order for us to thrive as people in our communities, we must advocate for a system that treats the whole person. The changes that need to be made are heavy with roots in oppression and discrimination and cannot be made by one single individual or agency. We must come together as a city and as a community. Together, we can start breaking down the stigma surrounding mental health and begin to create a health system in which all peoples have equitable access to the services that they may need and rightfully deserve. We can each do our part. Thank you. That was fast.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Graham, Mayor Pro Tem. Now I'm going to get to the conflict of interest statement. This is where I'll ask if any member of the city council, city manager, or city staff has any known conflict of interest on any item on the agenda.
None by Flores.
None, Graham.
None, Candela.
None, Corin.
Okay, seeing none, now we're going to go to public participation. This is where members of the public can speak to council for a total of 7 minutes. Typically, not to exceed 3 minutes for public participation and a total of 4 minutes if there's an item on the agenda. If you want to speak about an item on the agenda, I'm going to ask if you could please wait until that agenda item appears. If you can't, and you need to just say a few things, then you're welcome to do so. I've been asked by former school board president Maria Flores if she could have 7 minutes. So I said, sure, that's fine. And so she's going to go ahead and start off, and then we'll start with the rest. And Senora Flores, if you just state your name, please. I know you.
Maria Flores, and I'm here with my husband, Dr. Ernest Flores. Good afternoon, esteemed City Councilwomen, Madam Pro Tem, esteemed Mayor Miyagashima, Police Chief Dominguez, City Manager Pilo, and staff. I come to you today to promote a police improvement plan for our city. As a citizen of this community for 35 years, I have benefited in all ways living in this city. But lately, the news of another police shooting has created a feeling of dismay, shock. Being on the national scene is at best unsettling and must not continue, only for good things. As we hope to invite travelers, hikers, retirees, we are showing a callous disregard in dealing with our citizens that are stressed and having problems at home. I appreciate how difficult policing can be, but the current situation cannot continue to exist. As a teacher, I had the DARE program in my classroom, and I appreciated the relationship that the officer had with my students. Positive engagement with students and citizens is what I believe policing should be. I want to believe that the police are guardians, not warriors. Community policing is a way to set up trust between our officers and our citizens. The dark cars, the lights, the lack of smiles can be intimidating, and I am not alone in having that reaction. Now a grandmother is dead, and a family is torn by a violent and deadly attack in our own home, despite family members asking the officer to stop. Amelia Baca deserved respect, kindness, gentleness, and help getting past her bad evening. She was not even allowed to have instructions given to her in Spanish, her own language. I cannot imagine the pain this family and the grandchildren are feeling to lose a precious grandmother to a bullet. We need protective protocols in this situation. My mother suffered from dementia for over 7 years. She often suffered from sundowner syndrome, which is a state of confusion that comes on in the late afternoon and evening. It creates anxiety, pacing, and difficulty understanding where they are. They also have difficulty separating reality from dreams. Strategies to help the individual is setting a calming mood, lighting up dark areas, and providing a distraction. Things that would not work are sirens, yelling, cursing, using a language a person does not know, guns, violence on violence. So many times I saw the terror in her eyes, and she knew something was wrong, but she could not help herself out of her reality. This is what Amelia Baca was probably feeling as well. So what to do? I think the city is moving forward with the mobile crisis units, but moving too slowly. We could ask for more training for our officers, but after 70 hours of training, they still use F-bombs to address our citizens in crisis. I propose a strategy that was brought up about 12 years ago, but did not get passed. We need a community policing advisory committee, and I ask that you pass a resolution to begin the process of forming a said community or committee. I think this community has informed citizens that could work closely with law enforcement and create a safer, kinder, and better trained police force that supports and protects our smallest citizens to our most vulnerable. A resolution and then a policy addressing use of force reform within 6 months could be the best action this illustrious city council and leadership can provide its citizens. Finally, I say her name, say her name. You know the ladies that are on this list. And now, Amelia Baca. I say this for all women that have suffered unjustly at the hands of law enforcement. We can and must do better. I thank you for your time.
Mayor, if I can have just a couple of minutes.
Yes, sir, of course.
First of all,
I just need you to state your name, please.
My name is Dr. Ernest Flores, and I'm the spouse of the real Flores powerhouse, Maria Senora Flores. but I've always followed her. I'm a psychiatrist, currently the medical director at Southwest Counseling Center here in Las Cruces, and I've practiced in this community since 1987. During this span, I have been directly involved in mental health crisis situations and with my own clients, and have managed crisis intervention units and programs. This is what I know. I appreciate and I am glad to know that I can call and count on law enforcement and fire department to assist me in crisis situations. And hopefully soon the mobile crisis unit program will be operational. Most Las Cruces Police Department officers are professional, empathic, in stabilizing my clients and safely transporting them to the hospitals for further care. Unfortunately, however, I have also encountered officers who do not act in that professional and empathic manner. A domestic disturbance call, which is a majority of the calls I'm told that police get on a daily basis, is not about just resolving disputes and tensions, but can also be a mental health crisis situation. This requires officers to be sensitive, knowledgeable, and well-trained on how to properly intercede in calming an individual in crisis. What I saw and read about Senora Amelia Baca's tragic death, in my opinion, was preventable. I hope the law enforcement investigation will shed more light on what took place, and I really hope their findings will address how to identify the few officers with poor attitudes towards the mentally ill and cultural insensitivities. It's disheartening and sad that Senora Baca, unfortunately, encountered one of these poorly trained officers. I have seen elderly demented clients like Senora Baca agitated, paranoid, confused, spoke no English, but they were suffering from a urinary tract infection. They require a de-escalating, calm, and reassuring voice that they can understand. So what to do? As policymakers, I am here to support Senora Flores' request that you put forth in your next business a community advisory, or propose a policy to start looking at the creation of a community police advisory commission whose powers and funding will hopefully be agreed to by the police department, the city officials, and the community. As was said earlier, years ago, a community police action committee was put forth but never passed by this body. If this council cannot agree to create a new community police action commission, then create an independent, qualified ombudsman with authority and the power to interface with the community, with law enforcement, to hear and resolve complaints between the public. So in conclusion, city, I address the city as all of you, do the prudent and responsible steps to rebuild the trust and respect between this community and the Las Cruces Police Department. We all depend and want a strong, compassionate, and humanitarian police department. This tragic event did not just traumatize the Amelia Baca family, but the entire community as well. Perhaps if you do what we're asking to do, hope that you do, that you could perhaps name this new initiative after Senora Amelia Baca. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now we're going to go to the first row. Dr. Neeson.
I am Dr. Earl Nissen, and I live in Las Cruces. I immediately, upon reading all of the information the paper gave about the recent police shooting, I wondered what role the police auditor that we have contract with, what would that person be doing about these incidents? So I read the entire police auditor report that you were given in January. It's only a categorizing and cataloging the complaint forms submitted by LCPD. I didn't find it very helpful in making any suggestions for reform of police methods. There was one reference I found that talked about training for de-escalation, and the auditor suggested that the police department not do this with just a handout, that they actually do some type of training. For over a year, I have been attending meetings virtually with the Albuquerque Civilian Police Oversight Agency. Under this agency, there are 6 community police councils. I have attended the meetings that include the downtown area of Albuquerque. The community members are picked and appointed by the city council. This provides a broad band of citizens who can, with complete transparency at meetings, address questions of the police chief or his lieutenants who attend the meeting. By attending these open meetings, I think I know more about the Albuquerque Police Department than I do the Las Cruces Police Department. So I am requesting that the council assemble a citizens group to study our present auditor system and consider the possibility of having a civilian police oversight agency in Las Cruces. We're at a very, very sensitive time in the relationship between our police department and people in Las Cruces. So I would urge this type of discussion take place.
Thank you, Dr. Nason. Okay, so second row, Mary, did you have something?
Mayor Miyagishima.
I just need you to state your name, and if you want to move the microphone, and there's probably a little toggle switch there that you can lower the platform.
Mayor Miyagishima, city councilors, staff, and members of the public. I'm Mary Martinez-White, and I'm here today to talk with you about the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act. I'm a member of the steering committee of the Tula Rosa Basin Downwinders Consortium, and we've been working for the last 17 years to see that New Mexico gets included in the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, or RECA. RECA provides help for people who develop cancer or other diseases after exposure to atomic weapons testing or who come in contact with uranium. RECA was originally passed in 1990 and was supposed to sunset or expire this July 2022. But because of the initiatives of the TBDC, Tula Rosa Basin Downwinders Consortium, and others, working with support of our full congressional delegation, as of this week, both houses of Congress have passed legislation to extend RECA for 2 more years. As background, because of atomic testing in Nevada, the states of Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and Colorado are covered under RECA. But New Mexico is conspicuously left out as though there were a wall, an artificial wall, and the wind does not blow past that wall. New Mexicans are patriots. Our families, our sons, our daughters, our brothers, our sisters have served this country and have died, some of them. All we are asking for is parity. New Mexico is also downwind of the 928 atomic tests conducted in Nevada. 200 of those tests were above-ground tests. So in spite of the fact that we experienced the first atomic test, the Trinity test, and the fact that it was a problematic test, New Mexico has never been included. We're heartened by the support that we received from the U.S. Senate and the House of Representatives in passing the 2-year extension, but it will still take considerable effort to ensure the continuation and expansion of RECA to actually include New Mexico. In the packet that I will provide for you, I have included letters of support for this initiative from the Western states' governors and memorials from the New Mexico State Legislature, both House and Senate. Also included in the packet is information on the economic benefit if the new legislation passes to expand RECA to include New Mexico. The expansion, if passed, would include a one-time compassionate $150,000 payment plus medical benefits. $150,000 does not compensate a person for the loss of a loved one. But in terms of economic benefit, if I may finish,
How much longer, Mary?
probably less than a minute.
Okay, go ahead.
In terms of economic benefit, the individual could use the one-time compassionate payment for health care or any other purpose. As an example of the economic benefit to the community, if 100 people only are covered by RECA, that would bring $15 million to the community with the one-time compassionate payment, and that doesn't include the insurance. So we ask for your help, we ask for your attention to this matter. We have 2 years left, and we have the widespread support, it's a widespread bipartisan support, and we ask for your support as well as we go forward to the next 2 years. Thank you a lot.
I have
Thank
a
you.
question.
Councilor Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Martinez-White, for your presentation. Do you know, do you have family or do you know of family members who have been affected by this? And what is the life of the plutonium that stays in our atmosphere?
The life of plutonium is 24,000 years. It's difficult for humans to wrap their brain around that, but indeed that is how long that it lasts. In the Tularosa Basin, we have gotten over 1,000 reports of cancers. Yes, my family has directly been adversely affected, but I have cousins whose families have been totally wiped out except for one survivor. I'm the youngest of 10 children. We used to have large families, and we have many incidences of the entire family dying of cancer, various kinds of cancers, and one cancer survivor left. My mother died of metastasized cancer. My father died of leukemia. My oldest sister died of metastasized cancer. I have a sister who is a breast cancer survivor, a sister who is a uterine cancer survivor, a brother who is a lung cancer survivor, and I have 3 siblings who have autoimmune disorders, muscular degenerative. So thank you for your question.
Well, I do. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, may I proceed with it? Thank you. Thank you for that very sad piece of information. Is there any information you've received from the from Congress as to why New Mexico was excluded, especially since that bombing was exactly tested to see if they could drop the bomb in Nagasaki and Hiroshima? I mean, why? I mean, that was the first testing ground for that. So is there any explanation as to why New Mexico was excluded from RECA?
We don't have an explanation. It is very odd that New Mexico would not have been included, especially if you think of this as New Mexico. We have Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and Colorado. So we're very conspicuously left out. We don't know if we are expendable population. We know that no one was notified of the bomb. After the first Trinity test, people are evacuated for 150 miles. The 150-mile zone includes Las Cruces. No one was notified. No one was evacuated. So we were unwitting subjects in an atomic test. And again, we are patriots. We're not asking for reparation. We're asking for a compassionate one-time payment plus medical insurance to help deal with some of the devastation.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez.
We're not asking for anything more than the other states are getting.
Any more than what?
The other states.
We should be getting more.
are getting.
Just make up. So anyway, but thank you, Ms. Martinez-White, very much for this very painful part of history.
Thank you all very kindly.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, Robert, did you have a question? Or you want to come forward? Just need you to state your name, please. 3 minutes, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Robert Paquette. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for these meetings, and I appreciate the opportunity and freedom to be able to express myself as a member of the public. And I know you all work very hard. You have so much going on, and I appreciate all of you. Then this is, again, is kind of directed towards Chief Dominguez and the public in Las Cruces. Today, I came last week, and I think some of you are aware that I am accusing certain people of political terrorism in Las Cruces. Last 14 days ago, I stood right here, and I told Chief Dominguez that I am in fear for my life, and that I am at home in fear for mortal danger for being attacked for political terrorism. Has Chief Dominguez even reached out to me one time? Has any police officers come and said, Rob, are you okay? No. As a matter of fact, when I go to the police station, they kick me out. They tell me they don't want to hear anything. They tell me they don't want to even open the case or even say anything or hear about it. When they found out that I found out that they set me up, they shut me down. Mr. Mayor, what are you going to do about it? Chief, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to leave me out in the open to be killed or seriously hurt? Because I'm fearful in my home. I told you that. I'm living in fear. Please reach out to me. I'm trying to talk to your deputy chiefs, your lieutenants. Everybody's giving me the runaround, guys. Imagine if it was you, and you wanted to make a difference in your community, and you stepped up to run for office, and because you did 5 days before the election, you were brutally attacked by 5, 6, 7 people that the city is involved with, and I can prove it. I don't know why you're covering this up. I don't know why the police department are keeping me from putting a report out, but I have contacted the FBI, and I know we're going to unravel this, people. So Las Cruces public, please find me on Facebook. You'll see I'm making videos about the corruption. If you haven't seen the video, you're in it. A lot of you will be in it. I'm not making threats. I'm just saying I'm in fear for my life, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to protect me and my family here from the police department and the terrorists in Las Cruces. Thank you very much.
Robert, what I was gonna suggest to you is you leave your name and phone number with the city clerk, and I've asked CFO if he could ask the city attorney to at least make contact with you. The reason why I can't respond to you is because you've left, I don't know, 5 or 6 different emails, basically that you were going to sue, and so when any time that I'm receiving of that, it's in the best interest of the city that I not respond.
I'm not asking you to respond. I knew you couldn't respond, Mayor, but I wanted to let you know that I'm in mortal danger, and I knew you could do something about it, but I got nothing.
Well,
Thank you.
Okay. You can leave that with the clerk, sure. That would actually be great, so we could have copies of that. Okay, so anyone on the that was the second row. Anyone on the third row? Yes, ma'am, over here. Yeah, you're the 4th row. Yeah, we'll get you in just a little bit. Third row here? Yeah, I'll go up, and then I'll start on my right. I just need you to state your name. 3 minutes, please.
Hi, Mr. Mayor, ladies, gentlemen. I'm here today because of the child share funds. I understand.
Excuse me, did you state your name? I'm sorry.
Isabel Torres.
Isabel Torres.
Yes, I'm here about the child share funds. I started inquiring on them, and that's when you started distributing them. But the child share funds are for mental illness and homelessness. That's what they were for. They're not for the food pantry, Community of Hope. They got 2.3 million last year, and I don't think those funds were put into proper play. You know, they're not benefiting what they were supposed to. There is no facility for these people to go to when they have these problems. And you know, it's mostly drug abuse that's causing the mental illness here and the homelessness. But there's no place for these individuals. And that money should have gone to producing a place and getting them help. You know, because that's what it was there for. Not to give them to rape victims, Casa Peregrinos, food pantries, the Afghanistans, because they were all distributed to them. And these funds are for the people of this community, these individuals. Tell me, what place can my mentally disabled son go get help? What place? Because we've gone to all of them, and there is no help. None at all. And so these places are not, they pick and choose who they want to help, but they're not there for the public. These are your citizens. The police department is not supposed to babysit these people, get them off of the streets. Your comment was, you're going to talk to the judges to impose harder punishments and stiffer penalties. Well, I found out you don't have that jurisdiction, but your responsibility to the city of Las Cruces is to apply those funds to what they were pertaining for in the beginning. That is my, and I'm going to continue this because I cannot, beyond me, understand why you did that, knowing that you have a problem out there. You want to clean up your community, but you're not doing nothing about it. You're applying it. Just, it's like my mom used to say, quieres tapar el sol con un ojo, con un dedo, and you can't. You got to clean it up. And you got to start with these people. You got to place them somewhere. These counties aren't going to do anything for them. My son has been out like 20 times, accumulating charges, and nothing has been resolved.
Yeah. So, Ms. Flores, thank you for that. Torres, I apologize. The Tell Shore funds actually are totally unencumbered, which means that there is no set policy. However, when the City Council received the $26 million in 2004, 2005, the then City Council said that they were going to use the funds for health-related needs. And so I think the council here has used that as an opportunity to help those that are, and whether you feel that Community of Hope may not be the best, we feel that that is. And I think it's been very beneficial to a lot of non-governmental agencies, organizations, to help those that need help, whether it's social or mental or other issues. There was another organization that also received the $26 million. They used $28 million to settle a lawsuit. So I don't know if you were even aware of that. But nonetheless, and I've asked you more than once to leave your name and number with the city clerk, but you chose not to. I don't know what else to tell you, ma'am. I mean, I'm not an expert in by no means, but I can at least.
I'm not either, sir.
Well,
I'm not either.
Yeah, I
I'm just
understand.
concerned about all these individuals that are out there that really need help.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just be grotesque and look at them like they were nothing.
Yes, ma'am.
You know?
I understand.
And the comment you made. And what about the cannabis money? What are you using it for?
That's something that's something that council hasn't discussed yet, and I would love to see it go towards mental health and drug abuse. Yes, ma'am. I agree.
You're making a lot of money.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that was the third row. Fourth row, I think this lady back here. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I'll get to this side here in just a little bit. I go my left, and then I go to the right. Sorry about that. I just need you to state your name, please.
Okay. Hi, Mayor and Council. My name is Patty Hartman, and I'm resident of Las Cruces. Excuse me, my mouth is a little dry today, but I'm going to read what I have. I'm here to share my personal reaction to the tragic and unnecessary shooting death of Amelia Baca by an LCPD officer. That officer had 70 hours of crisis intervention training, or CIT, which meant he was part of a crisis intervention team who was notified by dispatch that this was a mental health call and warned by family about her dementia. Everybody had all the information they needed for that officer to put his training to work to resolve the situation peacefully, and yet we saw what 70 hours of CIT training within LCPD looks like. I want to stress that every unnecessary death by police on a mental health crisis call is a social justice issue because it involves one of the most vulnerable groups of people in society. I happen to identify as one of those vulnerable people with severe depression and PTSD, and I have had my own abusive experiences with LCPD when I was in a very fragile state. So I personally have the right to speak to this ongoing problem, and I have tried to do so for the 5 years that I've lived here. It angers me when I hear mental health advocates and our local leaders who encourage people to reach out and to call 911 if you're in a crisis, because I know the truth of what may happen, especially if you don't behave appropriately. I have warned as many as I could to never call 911 if you are in crisis, because what happened to Amelia Baca was not an accident or an isolated incident. And if people like me had a voice and the sincere interest of our local leaders, you would know this was not an isolated incident. The heart of the problem is in the culture of our community and those in power who say they support people with mental health conditions, but in reality they look down on them as deficient and lacking insight. They don't respect them as equal individuals, and they exclude them from any attempts to be part of the conversation around their needs and suggestions. It is very easy to mistreat people we label as other, who we perceive as incompetent. LCPD specifically considers them a burden, and certainly a problem they don't want to deal with. And that mindset reflects the failure of LCPD's specific training, which is not based on any well-documented national strategy, such as the Missouri model, which we know reduces injuries and deaths to people with mental health conditions. LCPD has continued to go their own way on training with absolutely no transparency or accountability for standards. They don't like anyone knowing their business, as I found out when I called to speak with Sergeant Robert McCord about CID.
Excuse me, Ms. Hartman, you're out of time.
Okay,
You almost finished?
Pardon?
Are you almost done?
I am almost done. And was berated and intimidated when he demanded to know who I was to be asking questions, and then claiming things I know to be false. In all their years of failure that we have seen this with CIT, not once has the City Council felt the need to demand answers about the quality of their training. You have excused them with compassion for the difficulty of their job. You have let them have complete discretion over whatever they do. Therefore, you are equally responsible for the problems we have. In most other parts of the country, people like me are considered stakeholders because we are the ones most impacted by the decisions that are made. And we are at the table of power as equals at every part of the process. People with mental health conditions and families have lived experiences that can better inform the process and assure that we will find useful solutions and approaches that help people, not hurt them. People with mental health conditions in Las Cruces are marginalized, stigmatized by authorities, and powerless to speak or do anything about the way they are treated. Instead, we hear what authorities have to say about how we are treated. I'm here to tell you that doesn't match the reality on the ground. That only serves to placate your concerns that you will never hear about as you listen to the police and the stories they frame to convince you everything is fine. It's time LCD is made to accept responsibility for their failure, to respect and address our needs adequately and compassionately instead of destroying our lives and our human dignity. Thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, that was the fourth row. Anyone else? How about on the fifth row? Fifth row, anyone? Oh. Hello there, Bobby.
Hello. I'm Bobby Green, President of the Doñana County NAACP. Mayor Miyagishima, thank you for the opportunity. City Manager Peely, thank you. City Councilwomen, beautiful women, thank you for the opportunity. I've had the opportunity to, through 2 public records requests, I have seen videos of 2 separate incidents where the family members called in distress, 911, for a mental health crisis that was the family member that needed assistance. In both cases, the police were dispatched. In the first case, the police Las Cruces Police Department, well, the victims ended up, two family members, the father and the son, ended up in the hospital as a result of injuries sustained through their direct interaction with the Las Cruces Police Department. Neither one of them were killed, thank God. But in the second case, I saw the video of this woman, grandmother, being gunned down. And we all have family members. We all have mothers. We all have grandmothers. We all should be outraged at how this grandmother, family member was treated in front of her family. And but the part that I would like to speak to is the fact that I watched the video of how the officers interacted after the killing of this woman, and I was my heart was broken by the lack of empathy and compassion and the business as usual conversation, casual interactions of the officers among themselves while the body was literally in front of them and the family member in earshot. So I find that not only is there an issue of training of the officers, I don't think you should have to train an officer not to shoot a 75-year-old mentally ill grandmother in the first place, but you certainly you should not have to train the officers to show respect for family members who've gone through a tragedy at their hands. That should not require training, but apparently it does. And so not only do we need training for the officers so they know how to handle mental illness, but also there needs to be some decorum, some basic human decency when dealing with a situation and the camera's rolling and their casual attitudes and lack of concern about what the family is now having to go through. So we need some hard conversations about this. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Bobby. Anyone else on the fifth row? Sixth row? Seventh row? Okay. Rudy, I think you're in the seventh row. Seventh row.
Hello, Council, City Council, Mayor Pro Tem. You guys are doing a great job.
I need you to state your name, please.
I'm sorry. My name is Rudy Ray Aragon Sr., and I come here today for a couple of reasons, just for some stuff that was on the resolution, but touching up on this issue about the grandmother. As a person that has been disabled by the Las Cruces Police Department while I was handcuffed and beating the brakes off of, and I could feel their pain. But I'm not here to sit there and bring up old stories. The Doñana Triage Center seems like it'd be a great opportunity to incorporate them with our police force, because what makes it look bad is this is a trained officer that's supposed to be able to handle a situation with someone that's mentally incapacitated at the moment, we'll say. A 70-hour training. Didn't seem like it worked because I saw a double tap. I didn't see no de-escalation. The 21-foot rule, come on. We all know about the 21-foot rule. If you guys don't know, anybody that comes within 21 feet and you fear for your life, you could kill them. That's called the 21-foot rule. But see, I'm 5'5". I see an old lady with a knife. Come on now. You could push over and she could break a hip. 75 years old. I've seen these COs and correction officers handle grown men like nothing, with knives and everything. Riots, all that stuff. Been falsely incarcerated too for a year and a half of my life. But neither here nor there, I've seen it all. One great thing about living all these aspects of life, the richest of the rich and the poorest of the poor, I know almost every single one of you up here, personally, through one event or another, all the way back when my son came up dirty for cocaine. And I came to this council and said, hey, CYFD didn't do nothing. My son's a cokehead. He's disabled because of it. But don't worry, I raised him and I support him with our own money. We don't depend on the government. You know, I've been pretty blessed in my life. Been killed a couple times in the city. Came back, got my back broken at a motorcycle wreck that the police didn't want to investigate, but you could see the skid marks when I was hit from behind. I could kind of feel this man's pain. You gave him a city mayor's award. Good one on that one, huh, Mayor? You really could pick him. But he was all in for the attention. There's two types of people. Our officers shouldn't be warriors. No way should they be a warrior. They shouldn't be a soldier either. They should be a police officer. And see, the difference between a soldier is we go across countries and different places to go kill people for America. These soldiers come back over here and they become police officers. And the training is, if they're a threat, take them out. They're Americans, regardless of what they are. They shouldn't just be disposed of. But thank you very much.
Okay, that was 7th row. Anyone else? 8th row? Last row. Yes, sir. Just need you to state your name, please, and 3 minutes.
I'm Daniel didn't mean to blow you out of there, sorry. I'm Daniel Chester. I am a medically retired fire captain from California. I have heard a lot of people beating up the police department today, and I'm not going to condemn them. I'm not going to condemn the police department, but I would ask that the people here take one thing into consideration.
Sir, I'm going to need you to talk into the microphone.
Take this into consideration. The first responders are human beings as well. They have to live with the fact that he pulled a trigger and a person is dead. Now, they were acting normal afterwards. You would be amazed and probably disgusted at the amount of black humor that occurs in a fire station after we responded to an incident where there may have been a fatality for one reason or another. And that's the way we dealt with it. That's the way we coped with someone's life being lost, where we made every effort to preserve that life. And I don't know, and I have family in law enforcement in California and other parts of the country as well, but no officer goes to work going, I might get to kill somebody someday. I don't know a single police officer, personally or professionally, that has not done every single thing that they can to avoid having to draw their gun and use it. I stumbled across a drug lab on a medical aid in Crestline, California. By the time I got off the radio and told them that we were being threatened at gunpoint and we were leaving the area, there was a highway patrol helicopter, a San Bernardino County Sheriff's helicopter. There were DEA agents behind the tree, literally behind the trees, that came out, surrounded this guy's house, protected my firefighter and myself, and the judge threw it out because the police did not have, quote unquote, sufficient probable cause to be in the house. I was the probable cause. I asked them to check in the house to see if there was another person in that house because I'd been sent to a medical aid. I didn't have a patient yet. I was looking for my patient. Not everything's cut and dried. One quick question, I'm running out of time. Chief, how many police are we down? I've heard 60 and 65 officers to make up to where you get a full complement of officers. Is that an accurate number, sir?
Let me let the city manager, if he wants to answer it, or the chief, because typically the public doesn't ask directly the directors or the chief. But
the acoustics in here are horrible.
Yeah.
Now we're hearing is I see your lips.
yes, sir.
But I don't
Let me have the city manager respond. He may ask the chief to respond.
Okay.
If it's okay, Mayor, I can let the chief give exact numbers. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor. We are currently down 30 officers. We're at 85% operating strength.
I'm sorry, did you say 30?
30 officers down,
Okay,
that's
so
correct.
the rumor just got cut in half, from 60 to 30, so you're already doing better. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Incidentally, I'm here today because we're item number 8 on the agenda for the liquor license for Jerry O's Rack Room. When I retired from the fire department on a medical in California, I moved here, and we've been business owners in the community here for 31 years. Thank you all very much. I wouldn't want any of your jobs.
Thank you, Mr. Chester. Okay, so anyone else on my left? Okay, so I'm going to go to the right now. Second row. Yes, ma'am. Just need to come forward. State your name, please.
Hi there. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Angela Potter, and I am a realtor and owner of Trust Properties, and we specialize mainly in property management and rentals and have hundreds of homes in the city to rent out, vacant or non-vacant. We need to address the issue with the homelessness in the city. Last Sunday, we had a tenant vacate one of our homes. On Monday, our property manager checked on the home and found a homeless woman inside the home. The property manager videotaped, and we are now buying body cameras for this reason. The property manager checked on a home, found a homeless woman inside the home. The property manager videotaped the incidents, which I emailed to the mayor this morning. However, the part that was scary is that the homeless person ran down the street only dressed with a t-shirt and nothing else, screaming that she was being abused and beaten by the property manager. A passerby actually called the police on our property manager. If the property manager, who is 6'5" and tattooed from top to bottom, didn't film the incident, he would have been the one arrested because a 5'5" half-naked woman was running down the street. The police were called. However, the police officer told the property manager that he cannot do anything regarding the breaking and entering. She broke out a window in order to gain access, since nobody saw her do it. We have almost over $1,000 worth of damage now in this home. I personally had an incident a few months ago where I went and checked on our vacant rental properties. I found a male homeless person inside the house. He had a knife and was cutting down plumbing. Where I shouldn't have, addressed him, and I says, "What are you doing here?" He just got really violent, started running towards me. I backed out the home and called 911. The police was not coming for a while, so I also called the property manager again. When the police came, the guy already ran off. He left everything behind, the gun, the knives and everything. When the police came, they told us there's really nothing we can do about it. I said, "I have a picture," and they said, "Well, we're just gonna pick him up and let him go anyway." On the way over here, I just received a call from one of my owners, actually the neighbor of a vacant home from one of my owners. There's a tent on top of the house. The homeless people have pitched a tent and defecating up there and living up there. We're now going over there and trying to remove them. The last item I do want to bring up, today the fountains are now on again because it's nice and warm outside. My office is right down on the plaza. Every day we watch homeless people take showers. The other day, two homeless people were having a drag-out fight in front of my office. Well, a little bit. So we don't really know anymore what to do. We have female realtors, we have female property managers. Nobody carries a gun by us. We don't want them to carry guns. Everybody said we should. We don't want to do that. We have homeless people sitting in front of our offices, staying in our homes. Why we have laws if we don't enforce them? Why wasn't the homeless person arrested for breaking and entering? Why weren't the homeless people not arrested when they get taking showers in the fountain for lewdness? Why aren't homeless people arrested when they defecate in front of my office for littering? I don't understand this. I have been watching this issue now for 3 years, and I'm tired. I'm exhausted to constantly worry about either my property managers, or my realtors, or my employees. because the city cannot figure out how to keep the general public safe from the violent and mostly disturbed homeless men and women. Didn't we just have a homeless person cut off the head of another person last year? It needs to be addressed sooner or later, and I'm tired of the city telling me what we want to hear just for us to go away. We will not go away, and we want a solution for this problem. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good afternoon, City Council, Mayor, and this is Bo. Come over here. Please say hello to everybody.
Okay, ma'am, I need you to state your name, please.
Okay, my name is April Nastasi, and I appreciate that you guys are willing to listen to, with great diligence, to a serious problem we have here in our community. I'm reading this because I don't want to miss nothing in here, so please forgive me for that. Thank you. And I'm here on behalf of the 51 previous Grumpy Dog owners, which I have their notarized letters here, who are today in the form of notarized letters, the 1,000 people who are bit each year in our community, as well as the thousands that are not reported. On behalf of April's K911 Academy, and also the thousands of genetically fearful, misunderstood, potentially dangerous dogs here in our Las Cruces. Council, are you guys aware that we've had 2 deaths and an arm amputation in the last 6 months to a year? Are you aware that our animal service center is knowingly and negligently, they're adopting out red flag dogs to unsuspecting parents without properly educating them? A previous meeting, they showed stats where more than half the dogs were returned because of aggression. One of their own foster dogs and her pups attacked and killed 6-year-old Avery. I bring this up not to put blame, but to let you guys see that from what they advised that parent, and I have it with me and I will leave it with you as well, okay? As what they told that parent to do was avoiding the situation. And that teaches that dog that that behavior is acceptable. And it only takes one time for a dog to not have boundaries and consequences for it to escalate into attacks and death. Are you guys aware of the 2020 New Mexico Statute 771A-58? States the owner has entered the dog in a socialization behavior program, approved or offered by the Animal Control Authority. Our dispatch numbers from 2019 to 2021 show we have approximately 1,000 dog bites each year. And that does not include the ones that aren't reported. Las Cruces does not have a program. Are you guys aware that with great success, and we can have great success preventing these dog aggression if behavioral modification is implemented as soon as the signs are shown of aggression to correct potentially increased insecure behaviors that can promote more unbalanced, dangerous behaviors if left unchecked. But without knowing the subtle signs, attacks cannot be prevented. This needs to be recognized by everyone who has contact with the dog, including city and county personnel, police force, ACO, Animal Service Center, fosters, rescues, vet techs, boarders, doggy daycares, meter readers, every dog trainer in this county.
Excuse me, April.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I'm almost done.
Okay.
If you don't mind. Okay. Because everyone who has contact with the dog is a dog trainer. What are we teaching them? Are you aware that the American Veterinary Medical Association has a task force on canine aggression and human-canine interactions? Are you guys aware of that? And they've already done the hard work. Okay, so I will be leaving that with you. And I want to know, I can help you. If you guys have questions, want to know who I am, stuff like that, I can answer those for you. I can help you drop those numbers. Okay, but we need to educate. And I'm willing right now to educate, go to the Animal Service Center in their facilities with their dogs, with their fosters, with their people, staff, and put on the free workshops that I do give. So I'm up here today, ask you guys, What are we going to do about this situation? It's not going to go away.
Okay, April, I'm sorry. If you want to leave your name and information
No,
with the
that's
city clerk, that'd be fine.
I have the numbers for you that I'd like to leave them with you guys as well.
Yeah, okay.
All right, thank you for
Thank you.
hearing.
Anyone else on the second row? Third row? Oh, okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Mimi Russell, and I just want to speak on behalf of April. My husband and I, we foster and we rescue dogs, and they become part of our family. And when you rescue a dog, what happens is a lot of the times from the shelter situation, they come with some behavioral issues that come up and get triggered. So I just want to read a little bit about my experience with her and just the importance of animal training and the value that she brings to the community.
Amy, can you bring your mic down just a little bit? There you go.
I'm very short. So basically, April's Academy not only teaches dogs new skills, but more importantly, her academy sheds knowledge and educates pet owners. To retrain unwanted behaviors in our pets, we must understand the why behind our pets' behaviors. April does a fantastic job at educating owners on why, while also providing instant redirection for grumpy dogs. I found April through a Google search in July when my Pity Rescue's aggressive behaviors were exacerbated by boarding him at a facility here in Las Cruces. When I reached out to April, she immediately educated me on fear-based responses in my dogs, and I knew I needed help training him. Her 7-week course gave me a strong foundation in obedience training and how to redirect and prevent my dog's aggressive fear response. I believe this was possible because she allowed there to be more than 2 dogs per training. She was able to correct my dog's behavior while also educating me on how to continue to reinforce that at home, because she can't be with me all the time, and she certainly can't be with me and my dog during outings and walks. Ultimately, what makes April so successful at what she does is she truly cares and takes the time to educate owners so that we can better communicate with our dogs and build a trusting bond for both owners and dogs. Without April's help, I would not feel confident in situations that I knew would make my dog reactive, and therefore I would avoid situations, which isn't teaching or training them, it's task avoidance. With April, I have skills, and Cooper, our rescue dog, has skills now to confidently go on walks and not be reactive and not be as triggered. I also foster with the animal shelter here in Las Cruces, and it makes me sad because on paper, a lot of these dogs aren't adoptable. On paper, they're older, they don't have basic obedience training, and it's really sad when they get taken back and you watch that hope leave their eyes. And so I think it's really important that everybody who fosters, shelters, rescues, goes through some basic obedience training so that we can avoid having dogs and cats and animals sent back. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, so that was the second row. Anyone in the third row? Oh, still another, okay.
Good afternoon. My name's Brian Halterman. I'm also here on
Yeah, now we're going to need you to lift the microphone up, and
I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's probably a.
I'm sorry. My name's Brian Halterman. I'm also here on behalf of April.
We can't hear you that well. There should be a little toggle switch to your right of the a little bit more to your right around there. There's no switch. Push up. There you go.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I help April.
I'm sorry, sir. Can you state your name again, please?
Brian Halterman. Brian Halterman. I've known April probably 5 years. I help her pretty extensively at her training, and I'm just here to read a letter from one of our clients, if that's okay. This is from Rochelle Phillips. I met April when I was having trouble with my dog being aggressive towards the other dogs. We attended several 7-week classes at her academy and learned hands-on. She helped me learn how to be a pack leader, teach him boundaries, meet and greet other dogs properly in a controlled environment. That essential in teaching me how to teach confidence in him, trusting me so that he is no longer aggressive with other dogs. I can take him places now and enjoy him. The support therapy play cares help him tremendously, even though he started out wearing a cage muzzle. April is very careful to protect all dogs that are at her place while helping them learn in a real-life situation because it's just not the same otherwise. April cares about every dog that she works with. She teaches everybody how important the nutrition is as well. When I got back to grain food, I was appalled and shocked that my dog actually bit somebody that he greeted every day. Even at his grumpiest, he has never bitten anyone before. And it was April that brought it to my attention about the nutrigenetics and how the grains in the food can alter your dog's temperament. Once I got the dog back off the grains, he returned back to normal, along with my other dog, who showed the same agitation and aggression as well, being on the same grain food. I have even helped teaching assistant with play cares in the classes, and I have watched other dogs grow under her watchful, educating eye. April deters fights and yet shows them love and compassion while establishing boundaries, mostly by using negative markers and a squirt bottle. It's obvious April helps the dogs grow and learn that there's a consequence for their ugly behavior, and yet a positive behavior gets encouraged as well. April's rule in and out of class is every negative marker must be followed by a positive. April can have 15 dogs under verbal control at one time, and they all love her. Some people may not like all of her methods, but it's very quick, humane, very effective, which is crucial with people that are scared and have dogs that are biting and have the potential to cause serious damage. In training, the training is usually about the owner and not so much the dog. Dogs are easy. And like me, when I started, I was very nervous. I was afraid of my dog hurting someone else because of April's skill, compassion, and love for these dogs that no one else will touch. I now have a loving, confident dog that is no longer a risk to our community, gets along with everyone, and I completely trust April with all my dogs anytime. As well, recommend her to anyone for their behavioral issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, so that's the second row. Anyone on the third row? Just need you to state your name, and you may have to bring the podium down now and kind of.
Thank you all. My name is Joy Miller. I've been an advocate for animals in this community for over 20 years, co-founder of Spay Neuter Action Program, and volunteer for the Animal Services Center, Safe Haven, Forever Homes Dog Rescue, and a few others along the way. I'm here to speak to the issue of these aggression issues that we've had with dogs recently. I'm here personally because it devastates me that the community is going to become increasingly upset with dog owners if they continue to be fearful when they're out and about in the world with their dogs, or if they have people coming to their homes and have increased apprehension about dogs. I've been a client up at April's, as well as some other trainers in town. I can certainly speak to the quality of her work, and I don't think she emphasized enough that her specialty is in working with these aggressive dogs, and I feel great confidence in saying that what I've observed is remarkable, the work she does with dogs that many other trainers would be intimidated by, not to mention the general public. A mutual client of April's, who couldn't be here today, asked me to read part of the letter that she had written in support of April's or any given trainer's very competent work with a fearful dog and an anxious owner. I'm writing this letter to provide information regarding April Nastasi and her Canine Academy and my experience with my dog. I adopted a dog from the animal shelter in 2020. The dog I adopted, Margot, was fearful, shy, lacking in confidence, and was afraid of men. I live in an apartment and must be able to walk with my dog multiple times a day. During our walks, we would have encounters with other people and their dogs, and initially these encounters were difficult due to the fear that the dog had presented as aggression. I was desperate to find someone to help me work with Margot, the dog, as I realized that if I was unable to train her and help her overcome her insecurities, I would have to return her to the shelter, which I did not want to do. Cynthia goes on to say that she researched options for training, found that April's academy specialized in problem, aggressive, fearful dogs. She registered for a beginner's class and was impressed with the calm demeanor and confidence that April displayed in dealing with the dogs, and the support that she gave the owners, which gave them confidence. She concludes by saying, you know, this has been a life-changing experience for her, and she'd like to see this opportunity presented to the community so more people can take advantage of it. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Joy. Okay, so that was the third row. Anyone else in the third row? Fourth row? Looks like staff. Fifth row? Sixth? Seventh? Eighth? Anyone else on my right? Okay, well, thank you very much for that. So that ends public participation. I have a closed meeting statement I need to read. Las Cruces City Council met in closed session at 9:31 a.m., May 2nd, 2022. The following members were in attendance: Councilors Flores, Coran, Bencomo, Graham, Abeta, Gandara, and myself, Ken Miyagishima. Councilor Coran was out between 10:15 and 10:50 a.m. Councilor Graham had to leave at 11:23 a.m. and back at noon. Also, Ifo Pili left at 10:55 a.m. The meeting adjourned at 12:39. Excuse me, he came in at 10:55 a.m. The meeting adjourned at 12:39 p.m. And for the record, the City Council met and discussed those limited items as stated in the posted notice to discuss the regularly scheduled quarterly performance evaluation of the city manager, which is closed pursuant to NMSA 1978, Section 10-15-1H, number 2. Okay, now I'm going to go to acceptance of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second, Graham.
Motion made by Councilor Bencomo, second by Councilor Graham to approve the agenda as presented. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve the agenda as presented. Councilor Abeta is absent. Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Coran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Gandara?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, so we go to item 8.1. It's a public hearing, so it's 2:27 p.m. The public hearing is now in session. This is regarding the transfer and ownership and change of location of a dispenser liquor license number 2576 to Danik LLC, doing business as Jerry O's Rack Room, located at 2255 East Lowman Avenue, Las Cruces, New Mexico, 88001. Is any member of the public here to speak either for or against this liquor license transfer? Okay, seeing none, it's 2:28. Public hearing is now closed. With that, I entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 22-139.
Moved, Corin.
Second, Graham.
Motion made by Councilor Coran, second by Councilor Graham. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 22-139. Councilor Abeta is absent. Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Coran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Gandara?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, item 8.2 is also a public hearing. The public hearing is now on. It's 2:28 p.m. This is a public hearing to support the request by the Explorer Academy Las Cruces Foundation, New Mexico, a nonprofit corporation for the city of Las Cruces, to approve the Wisconsin Public Finance Authority issuing educational facility revenue bonds to Explorer Academy Las Cruces Foundation. So is there anyone here in the public either for or against this request for support? Okay, seeing none, 2:28 and 45 seconds. Public hearing is now closed. Entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 22-140.
Mayor, can we get a presentation on this?
Sure. Yeah, I just need a motion and a second, please.
Motion to approve. Second, Gandara.
Okay, motion made by Councilor Bencomo, second by Mayor Pro Tem Gandara. And we'd like to have a presentation. And Jennifer Brown? Is that, it says Jennifer Brown, maybe Jennifer Vega. Okay, Rob Cabello.
Mayor, Council, I'm from legal, Robert Cabello, for the record. I will give a brief introduction presentation. We do have from the Explorer Academy Foundation here today, Ms. Karen Cassidy, who can discuss and talk about the Explore Academy, its curriculum, and all the nature of that. We also have online, we have prepared to have their counsel, their legal counsel, to talk about the bond or legal process behind that. So first I'm going to give a brief introductory presentation, and we'll go to them. So the Explore Academy is a public school. It's considered a public school. It's a local public body by the Charter Schools Act of the New Mexico statutes. It has a contract with the New Mexico Public Education Commission. And really the purpose here, again, it's to get, it's a part of actually a statutory formality. It's to get City Council's approval because we are the host jurisdiction. None of these bonds are actually going to be attached to the city's full faith or credit. There's no the taxpayer money doesn't go to these things. What it's for, it's required by the IRS code for the City Council to approve. And the facilities will be located at 840 to 850 North Telshore Boulevard. And again, I have Karen Cassidy here to talk about the school itself. And online or on the phone is their counsel, Catherine Courtney, and can talk about the legal process for the bonds or anything else.
So Rob, before we turn it over to Karen, so just to clarify, so then these bonds are similar to industrial revenue bonds where when the city has passed them in the future, in the past, these are just more of a formality. It's nothing that puts the city at notice. We're not responsible for them. If something should happen, we don't have to pay for it. It's just, like you said, more of a formality, and that it's been presented to the council for its approval.
You're correct that it's a formality. It's nothing to do with the city's full faith credit or any sort of money from the taxpayer. Okay. We're not asking any taxpayers to foot these bills.
Okay, all right, thank you. Ms. Cassidy? All right. And I know I just introduced you, but can you just state your name, please?
I'm Karen Cassidy, and thank you, Mayor and council members, for hearing us. I am the principal of the Explore Academy in Las Cruces. We've been in existence in Albuquerque for 9 years. We came to Las Cruces because of a need and request from some of the community here. We have been serving this past year for 6th through 8th graders, and we are currently leasing a building that we've been in also on Telshore. And next year we're expanding to include 9th grade, and we'll be expanding every year to include a grade until we are 6th through 12th grade. What's unique about our charter school, because all charter schools have a unique aspect to them, and we are founded on choice. So even for our 6th graders and our 7th graders, they actually choose their classes, and we call them flavors. And so like a 6th grade will have every quarter they get to choose which English class they want. It's built on the same standards. So all the content's exactly the same, but how it's flavored by the teacher is what makes it different. So there might be a genetic science class that those standards are all the same, but one teacher might call it Harry Potter genetics, and another teacher might call it royal family genetics. And students explore whichever captures their interest. They get to explore those standards based upon how the teacher flavors it. So it's a very creative model, and it's based on choice because we have found that when students can choose, almost like electives, they tend to excel and they engage with the content at a higher level and are more successful. And in Albuquerque, we have found this to be true. And I think there's a few models throughout the country also that have somewhat of a choice model, but this is our unique aspect. And we are primarily secondary, and there aren't too many secondary charter schools in Las Cruces, and we really advocate not only for choice for our students, but choice for families within the community. So as I said, we've been leasing our building, and now we are purchasing a building through this bond money through Wisconsin. And so that's really why we're here today, is to get that building for us to have a permanent facility.
Thank you, Ms. Cassidy. It looks like you're, I guess, either acquiring or building, or you're going to be where the old Vista College was, I guess.
Correct.
That's good,
Yeah.
getting that to use. It's a good facility over there. Questions from council? Councilor Flores, Councilor Bencomo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you for your presentation. So are there other schools throughout the United States that are out of Wisconsin? Because that's the funding authority.
It's probably the person that's waiting online can answer that a little bit better than I can. It just happens to be our investor and where the bond is being originated for us. And this isn't the first time that we have done this. And I don't know if that person's available online, but they can answer that much better. There is somebody here ready to answer those questions as well.
Well, how is this school different than other charter schools in the state of New Mexico? Do you know? Have you compared what you offer with what other charter schools offer or what our public schools offer?
Sure. So every charter, to have a charter school, you have to have a very unique model associated with it, a very unique curriculum that traditional, like our district schools, don't have. So they're non-traditional. So for instance, here in Las Cruces, there are a few different charter schools. And for instance, there's Los Montañas, and they cater to high-risk students. There's Academia de Dolores Huerta, and they're bilingual. And so every charter school has a unique aspect, whereas our charter schools is just in the curriculum model of choice.
So that's the unique aspect?
Yeah.
You have flavors instead of names for courses?
Correct. But they're flavored in a way to engage students, and they can choose. It's like a college model where you can choose your classes. Students actually choose their classes instead of being handed, like, this is your sixth grader, this is what you'll take all year. Our sixth graders actually get to choose their classes.
And are parents involved with the younger children?
Yes.
In selecting their curriculum?
Yeah, we have a course catalog that the parents and the students all have access to choose their classes.
Okay, and how long have you been in Albuquerque or this type of school?
This is the 10th year in Albuquerque.
And what are the grades there? Do they go through 12 already?
Yeah, they actually are K through 12.
They're K through 12?
And they started as a high school.
Oh, they started as a high school.
Yeah.
So what is their graduation rate, and how many of those graduating go on to further education, be it university or trade school or?
I don't know those exact numbers. I know that we have a pretty high graduation rate in comparison, and I say we, Albuquerque, because we are a break off of Albuquerque, but we are not part of Albuquerque. So I don't know their numbers exactly, but they are in the 90% graduation rate. But
And as a charter school, are you regulated at all by the PED?
Yes, absolutely.
So you still have to conform to the requirements?
Correct.
The educational requirements? Thank you very much.
Sure.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Bencomo?
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you so much for being here and answering our questions. How many students do you have right now enrolled?
Right now, we have 89, and
Okay.
we are anticipating with the higher grade level, we are anticipating going over 200 for next year.
Okay, thank you. My other questions are for Robert. Robert, and forgive my question, is this common? Is this normal? It's just so strange to me that it's coming to us and not the school board, for example. Is this something we do that is an option for all charter schools to come to us for this kind of, with this kind of request?
Council, Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, it actually, I would say that the council for the school can actually talk about this more, but it is a common practice because charter schools can't raise their own funds. They create foundations, and then they usually get some finance authority from another state to get their funding.
Okay. And Rob, I'm not saying this will happen, but in the hypothetical event that a school does not stay long, I just need your reassurance that, parents, families will come back to the city of Las Cruces and say, hey, you approved something that we are on the hook for.
Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, again, the city is not, these bonds don't implicate the city's, any of the city's funds. It's not part of the city's credit. It doesn't go to the taxpayers for that. It's, whoever purchases the revenue bonds. As far as, but again, I would say I'd like to defer to their counsel that they have online. It's Catherine Courtney who could answer these questions in better detail.
Thank you, Robin. I know you said it a couple times, but I needed to hear it just one third time. And yeah, I would love to hear from their council mayor.
So, Ms. Cassidy, do you know who would be online?
It's Catherine Courtney, I believe.
Catherine Courtney?
Yes.
Ms. Courtney, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Can you state your name, please, and the position that you hold and your relation to this item?
Yes, my name is Catherine Courtney. I'm with the Taft Law Firm, which is a Midwestern law firm with offices throughout the Midwest. I happen to be in Minneapolis. We are acting as bond counsel to this transaction, so our client is actually the Public Finance Authority.
Okay, so the question was asked, Ms. Courtney, was can you just briefly explain the reason why you go before City Council and whether or not there are assurances that the city is not on the hook for any type of bonds should something happen? And also, what other municipalities did you go before the city of Albuquerque, for example, if you have you done that before? What other cities and municipalities or counties in the state of New Mexico have you gone before, if you have, if that's applicable?
Certainly, and thank you for repeating that. I've had a very hard time hearing. So the reason that we are coming to the City Council of Las Cruces is that when you have a different entity, such as the Public Finance Authority, acting as the issuer of the bonds, the local jurisdiction must consent to that other issuer issuing the bonds. And it has to be the elected body. So the City Council is the elected body. Or we could have gotten just approval from the mayor, but in this case, we were advised that the entire City Council would want to be the elected body that would approve this. That's required under the tax code. This public hearing is also required under the tax code. As far as the liability is concerned, the liability is passed through to the foundation. It is not a liability of the city in any way. It's not a liability of the Public Finance Authority either. It's entirely passed through to the foundation. As far as other cities, yes, we have done this several times in the city of Albuquerque. In that situation, it's typically the mayor who has given the consent. We've also been before the town of Edgewood. Those are the two that come to the top of mind at the moment, is the other cities in New Mexico who have been in the same situation as Las Cruces.
Okay, thank you. Let me see if there's any other questions. Okay, how about from members of the public? Okay. All right, well, with that, Rob, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
Mayor, council, no, I did not.
Okay, well, the public hearing has been, Councilor Flores.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's something about this, and maybe, I went through the presentation, the written, and there really isn't a lot of information there. I mean, why is this authority, the Wisconsin authority, coming to New Mexico? And what authority, I'm just curious, where else is this Wisconsin authority? Is it throughout? And I'd feel a lot more confident in my vote for it or against it if I knew what the curriculum was, how it compares to the curriculum of other charter schools or to the curriculum required by the PED. I just don't understand the purpose. It just seems a little odd to me. And yeah, so I don't know if we can get that data, and if, I'd feel a lot more knowledgeable about why we have this kind of a school. I mean, I just don't understand how different this school really is. If you're providing the same, you say just the only difference is that children or students get to choose what they want to, or the younger children have their parents help them decide. To me, there's just something, it just doesn't ring, it just doesn't sit well with me. I don't know, I just don't feel there's enough information. And I don't know if we could get that information.
I don't know if this will help, but the purpose of this is to approve the facility. Our curriculum and our school and the model's already been approved by New Mexico Public Education Department. So that's not really what we're bringing before you.
Well, it's good to know. I don't think you. Yeah, you didn't say that.
Yeah.
I asked, do you have anything? Do you have to comply with PED? I think you said yes, but you didn't say it's been approved. So PED has approved. It does feel that it's adequate for the students in Albuquerque, and so they.
And we've been in existence now here in Las Cruces for a year. Or we've been already here for a year.
And how long has this Wisconsin authority been around, and what other states are they in?
That would be something to ask Miss Courtney.
Miss Courtney, are you still? Did you hear my question?
Yes, I'm still here. So the Public Finance Authority, I can't tell you when it was formed. It was formed many years ago. It has the ability to issue bonds throughout the entire United States with the consent of the host jurisdiction. It was formed, it has been the issuer for all of the charter school bonds that have been issued in the state of New Mexico. Its primary role was originally to act as an issuer for financings that might include facilities that are in multiple states, where a local issuer might not be able to issue in a different state. And then it's expanded to be an issuer for transactions that, for one reason or another, the local issuer might not wish to participate.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Yeah, I'm looking at your application here in Albuquerque. Looks like it was passed, I think, in 2019. And it looks like the Public Education Department is aware of it. I know this is real quick, and if you have access to that, but I feel comfortable enough. I texted Mayor Keller. He hasn't texted me back yet, but it appears as though everything's, from what I can tell, seems fine. And I know that many times they like to have these bonds that your organization would be taking out. It's almost like a sense of having it out into the public. We're not really we aren't responsible for it, but it allows. It's just yet another opportunity for some transparency that this is what you all are doing. So, like I said, and fully understand if council is a little bit hesitant. I guess that'll be reflective by your vote, but I'm good with it. So, any members of the public have any questions?
I have another question, Mr. Mayor.
You still another question?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. And this is probably for Ms. Courtney. So, Ms. Courtney, does the teaching, this theory of flavors or this type of charter school, does it have any genesis, does it have its genesis in perhaps the Harvard School of Education or the Brennan Justice Center, or where did this idea come from? Ms. Courtney?
I can't speak to that. I am bond counsel. I handle the drafting of the documents for the transaction. I have no relationship to the school itself. I'm representing the Public Finance Authority.
Huh. Okay, thank you. Thank you again, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Flores, I might be able to answer a little bit of that for you. Our school founder is out of Albuquerque, and he is actually the founder and the director of this model. We have found, I think I mentioned, that there are other schools around the country that also have this type of model, and they're not really associated with us, but our director, Justin Bayardo, who is out of Albuquerque, he's the one that actually developed and promoted and got this model going.
Who is the director? What's his name? What's his background? What school did he go to? I mean, I guess it's just, I mean, even though PED has approved it, I mean, I think a lot could be said about PED, but it's neither here nor there at this time. I'm just utterly curious because we do have charter schools here. You know, the J. Paul Taylor, and we have the Raíces, and so. And I think that generally those two schools particularly are excellent and meet the needs, a very special need of our community, in our community. But this one, I'm baffled because really what we received doesn't really have all the information. And do you know anything about the founder, his education, his background, his, what school of, what school is he basing it on, educational school of thought?
He's a teacher out of Rio Rancho, New Mexico. He's a science teacher, and he taught both electives and core classes, and he actually just developed this model. He's not out of a particular philosophy or educational thought process.
Well, gee, okay. Thank you.
And, yeah.
I mean, it just, I don't know. Anyway, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, and it looks like in Albuquerque, I guess they passed the $8.8 million bond over there a few years ago, so.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Taxpayer money from Albuquerque?
No, not taxpayer money, it's, yeah. Okay, well, I just wanted to, I mean, this is really quick, I know, but, all right. Any other comments from council? Ms. Courtney, is there anything you'd like to share with us before we conclude?
I would like to address the last question about knowing more information about the school. Part of the bond issuance process is that there is the preparation of what is called an offering document. That document includes information about many of the questions that have been raised, and we can certainly forward that to the city. It's in draft form at this point, but it includes information about the founder, it includes information about the classes, and that sort of thing.
Okay, and on a completely side note, I noticed that it looks like you're hiring teachers as well. So I don't know how many teachers you're expecting, but it looks like you're hoping to have as many as 750 students. That's a lot of students.
By the time we're, 6 through 12.
Yes. Yeah, 6 through 12, okay. Okay, thanks. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 22-140. Councilor Beta is absent. Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
No.
Councilor Gondeta?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, next is going to be item 8.3, Resolution 22-141. A motion and a second.
So moved, Graham.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilor Graham, second by Councilor Bencomo. I have also been asked if we could suspend the rules and listen to item 22-142 concurrently, since they're both pretty much the same. So I'll need a motion and a second, if that's okay with council, to...
So moved, Graham.
Seconded, Corin.
Motion made by Councilor Graham, second by Councilor Coran to hear items 22-141 and 22-142 concurrently. Christine?
This is on the motion to listen to resolutions 22-141 and 22-142 concurrently. Councilor Abeyta is absent. Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Coran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Gondeta?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Okay, and it looks like Matt Sines will kick off Resolution 22-141.
So good afternoon, Mayor, members of Council, Administration. For the record, my name is Matthew Sines, Interim Chief Budget Officer with the City of Las Cruces. The resolutions before you and discussion for today is to accept the municipal budget as well as the capital improvement program. I'll turn it over to Sarah to discuss that, but for today's discussion, I'll just update you on some of the changes that have occurred since our last work session. So FY23 budget changes since our work session last. We did increase general fund expenditures. We also budgeted for the vehicle acquisition fund expenditures. If you'll remember last time, we gave you a full list of those vehicles that we're going to purchase. However, we didn't include those in our budget at that time. But the total amount is just under $1.5 million. And we also updated our vehicle acquisition fund descriptions to show our commitment to head towards the 50% zero emissions by 2030. We also reconciled the Las Cruces utilities funds to their board-approved budget, and we're also adding a position for the airport. This position will oversee the construction projects at the airport, and we also budgeted for our agency funds. The agency funds as well, we didn't have those all in our budget at that time. We were waiting on a few board approvals for that. So taking a look at the general fund increase, the last time we met at our work session on April 25th, the total expenditure amount was $129,000. As you can see, we added several items to get the most out of our budget. So Economic Development is requesting additional funding for the MESA Valley Economic Development Alliance of $50,000. Fire is also budgeting for 2 existing fire positions for salaries and benefits. Also, safety shoe allowance totaling to $211,000. Fire is also requesting the budget fuel and maintenance of $500,000. Mesilla Valley Regional Dispatch Authority, we're going to increase our contribution by $110,000. Quality of life, we're going to give additional funding for community schools, which is one of the council priorities, to $50,000. So we're looking at total expenditures for FY23 in the amount of $130 million. So taking a look at our all funds expenditure, the overall city's budget is $515.4 million. The general fund did see an increase of 10% in comparison to our FY22 revised budget. And just a reminder, some of the items that we included, the 3.5% merit increase with a 4% buffer for healthcare provider costs at mid-year. We're also increasing that by 0.5% for the para increase. And we added those 38.5 new positions that we brought forward last time at the work session. So other funds, other operating funds is currently down 6% from our revised budget. At the time, just to reiterate that we didn't have the vehicle acquisition fund during our work session. So special revenue funds currently is about 30% lower. However, we will be bringing back some of the grants and ARPA funding that missed our cutoff date to include in our budget. So we'll bring those back in July. So debt service fund decreased 4%. We're making progress on our debt in conjunction with the capital improvement project funds. As you know, that we made completed several projects with the 2020 GEO bond, or is it 19? With the GEO bond projects, which includes sports and parks fields, as well as fire station number 3. Enterprise funds, we'll take a closer look at that here in a second, but that's currently down 6%. And then internal service funds, we did switch to the state insurance, so those expenditures are now reflected in the general fund. Trust and agency funds are currently 4% lower than our revised budget. So again, overall city budget is $515.4 million, or as we like to say, over $500 million, which is slightly lower than our FY22 revised budget at 9%. Taking a closer look at the enterprise funds, we have airport at status quo, no change with that. Proposed budget is 3.5 for expenditures. We have transit slightly higher with an increase of 1.3 for 4%. And utilities, we have a proposed budget of $134.5 million. That's a decrease of 9% in comparison to our revised budget. Total enterprise funds, again, 170.9. That's 6% difference from our current revised budget. So taking a look at our city budget, it's $515.4 million. 25% of that is for the general fund. Other operating funds is 2%. We have special revenue funds at 5%, debt service funds at 4%, capital project funds at 22%, enterprise funds at 33%, internal service funds at 4%, and we have trust and agency funds at 5%. The general fund summary, beginning balance is 4% lower than our FY22 revised. Revenues, we are expecting an increase. We have seen strong returns from gross receipts tax with the change to destination-based sourcing. We're also anticipating the $500,000 for the cannabis sales, and I know everyone's extremely excited about that, to hear the sales numbers. We don't have that data at this point, but I will let you know that we do know that total recreational sales for the first week was 530,000, which basically translates to about 21,000 for the first week. Also, expenditures increased 10%. We covered that in an earlier part of this slide. Transfers in and out is down 52%. If you'll remember, we're utilizing the Telshore Fund to transfer over $3 million. I think it's $3.1 million to help out with some of the council priorities. And our ending balance is 5% lower. Our required reserve is higher at 11%. This number is calculated off of our expenditures, so as our expenditures increase, so does our reserve. Unreserved balance is down 57%, which the FY23 proposed budget we have available is $2.6 million. So here's a look at our general fund increases. Total personnel is close to $10 million. We had the new and reclass positions and benefits at $3 million. 80/20 health and dental at $2 million, and the starting wage at $5 million. New operating is, we have economic development of $238,000, finance $125,000, fire $457,000, information technology $139,000, parks and recreation $354,000, and quality of life $69,000. So here's a list of those operating requests with a little more detail, and we're providing a link to our strategic goal. So economic development is requesting appraisal services of $40,000. We're aligning this with strategic goal for community prosperity, number 4. Going forward, I'll just say CP. This is to provide timeliness and competitive assessment for future land transactions with a focus on the Las Cruces Innovation Industrial Park. Ready Las Cruces, $100,000 with strategic goal CP6 to provide support efforts to local middle school, high school, and community college students to improve workforce readiness and cultivate skilled workforce. They're also looking for business development at $40,000 with CP4 to provide support to 4 local business sprint accelerator cohorts. We have Mavita, Mesilla Valley Economic Development Alliance at CP5, increasing support of $50,000, and the last increase for them was in 2004. Professional development, we have CP6 of $7,505 to provide access to webinars, cutting-edge technology, and networking opportunities for business outreach and retention. Finance is requesting a grant consultant aligning with CP number 1 for $125,000. So this request is to support grant applications for the infrastructure bill, as well as provide services such as drawings, schematics, cost estimates, and cost benefit analysis. Fire is requesting an academy, positioning this with strategic goal for PS public safety number 1 in the amount of $377,000. Currently, fire has close to 20 vacancies, somewhere around there, and this will help them to replenish their staff. Fire is also requesting funds to support their Explorer program, and this is in connection with strategic goal for education and community service number 10 in the amount of $80,000. So this program will allow the youth to train on job functions of a professional firefighter. Human Resources is planning for a class and comp study with CP number 1 in mind. This amount in the amount of $175,000. So this will allow for an opportunity for all positions to be reviewed and updated to reflect changes to functions, skills, and qualifications. We also have the NeoGov re-implementation at CP6, Ready Workforce, in the amount of $15,000. So they're looking to improve processes and expedite hiring. Human Resources is also requesting minor equipment. They're looking to purchase computers and monitors for their staff. Information Technology is planning to upgrade the session initiation protocol. So to you and me, that means they're upgrading the phones. Currently, the PRI lines will be phased out and obsolete, so the upgrades will provide efficient cost savings. We have Parks and Recreation is coming online mid-year with a 50-meter community pool with the goal of CP number 4 recreational opportunities in the amount of $148,000 for operational cost. Parks they also have the East Mesa Rec Center coming online as well. Listed here, we have the Community Prosperity number 16, accessible social spaces in the amount of $206,000 for additional operating and maintenance. Quality of Life is requesting additional funding for management and onboarding of their volunteer network as part of the education and community service goal in the amount of $8,001. Although this program is housed under community development, they do provide services across our entire organization. So Quality of Life is also requesting funds for museum education, strategic goal CP19 in the amount of $10,815. The additional funds will provide for art instructor salaries increase up to 10 contract positions. And last but not least, we have the increase to community schools. So we're going to increase the contribution by $50,000 for strategic goal under education and community service number 3 in the amount of $50,000. So the additional funds will provide support for the ongoing mission to scale, support, and sustain a network of high-quality community schools to promote student achievement, positive conditions for learning, and well-being of families and communities. So one last look of where your money goes. We have gross receipts topping off the list at $96 million. That's 78% of our budget. We have property tax at $13.5 million, close to 11% of our budget. Franchise fees, almost $4 million. That's 3% of our budget. Excise tax for the recreational sales of cannabis at $500,000. That's 0.41% of our budget. We have investment income of $100,000, 0.08. And we have other revenue sources, which is licensing permits and fees of $8.8 million, and that's 7% of our budget. One last look at where your money goes. Our total general fund expenditures are $130.1 million. We have personnel at $87.7 million, that's 67% of our budget. Operating, $37.1 million, 28% of our budget. And capital at $5.3 million, which is 4% of our budget. So with that, I thank you for your time, and I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Sarah Cundiff.
Thank you, Matt.
Pause for intermission. Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council. My name is Sarah Cundiff. I'm the management analyst for Public Works, and I have only 2 slides for you today. I want to give you a quick comparison from FY22 to FY23 for the CIP budget. Please do not let these numbers scare you. I promise I will explain. Our newly funded projects were $9.9 million in FY22 and $1.16 million in FY23 as part of the proposed budget. Please keep in mind this number will very likely increase drastically throughout the fiscal year 23. The reasons could be anywhere from identifying funds when we update our beginning fund balances at mid-year, accepting the plentiful legislative appropriations we are anticipating, as well as the anticipation of the upcoming bond cycle that will happen in June of calendar year 23, which is still technically part of FY23. So please do anticipate that while that number may seem low, and you might say that's a decrease of 88%, please anticipate that number or that value to increase over the course of fiscal year 23. Now, our carryovers are going from $158 million to $134 million, with a decrease of 15.16%, and that is simply based on estimated expenditures. So I want to take a quick moment to explain that to you, because I love math. I know, I'm a nerd, right? So let's talk about this. The FY23 budget for carryover projects is based on the estimated project balance. That's simple math. FY22 project balance minus FY22 expected expenditures gives us that estimated balance. That's what the FY23 amount is based on. So you will also see either increases or decreases as we amend the CIP throughout FY23. When we revise that, we will go from an estimated project balance to an actual project balance. So when you hear the term here in a couple of months, we are revising budget to actuals, it's simply aligning the current budget with the actual project balance as opposed to the estimated project balance. So please don't let numbers scare you. I promise my math is better than my public speaking. Now for annual, we have a slight decrease of less than 3%, which is pretty normal. We've talked about annual projects. They kind of fluctuate from year to year, but generally speaking, they stay the same. So not much of a change there for our annual. Now our total category does look like a decrease of a little over 17%. So to provide you with a little perspective, I brought some numbers from my time here with the CIP. Starting back in FY19, if we look all the way back to FY19 through the current proposed FY23, the total CIP budget is on average $166 million. So this year's proposed CIP funded budget of $160 million, we're right on par, ladies. We are right there with a decrease of 17.28%, but nothing to fret. I have not seen that number fluctuate more than 18% since FY19. A quick recap of our newly funded projects. We have $600,000 coming out of the TID fund for the two new projects there for downtown Callecitas, as well as the downtown parking lot renovations. We have the facilities parking lot renovation program, which is coming from the facilities maintenance fund for $200,000, and that is anticipated to stay on the CIP as an annual project moving forward. That can be said as well for the LRU pavement maintenance program. It is anticipated to become an annual project that is funded at $125,000 from the airport fund. And the last three are all new projects from the facilities maintenance fund. They are the JCP, or Juvenile Citation Program Learning Center for exterior renovations. We have the HVAC and dehumidifier at the Las Cruces Regional Aquatic Center. That is the acronym you see on the screen there, LCRAC. And lastly, the first phase of improvements to the Mearshite Rec Center for a total newly funded projects of $1.16 million. And with that, I will turn it back over to Matthew Sines.
Thank you, Sarah. So just a little roadmap of where we've been. We finalized our budget. We held our public hearing on May 4th. Today we're here for budget adoption. And our next step is to submit our budget to DFA by June 1st. So with that, I want to thank, Mayor, if I may, just thank the budget staff for all their hard work and dedication, and also to the departments, the directors, and administration, as well as council for their support during this process. So with that, these are your council options. Thank you very much, Mayor.
So I did see that $60,000 all-electric Corvette for Councilor Flores. Was that just a typo in here? No, she's not listening. Okay.
Or do I have any questions? How are you, Matt? Long time no see. And thank you, Sarah.
Sorry,
I think that your
Mr.
brains
Mayor,
are just...
I had my mic on first. Just want to,
Yeah, okay, good.
Your speaking is just, your math must be wonderful because your speaking is wonderful. It must be superb. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sure. Councilor Bencomo.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt and Sarah and everyone that was involved in this whole process. I just have one question, Matt. Can you go to the airport utilities transit slide? Enterprise funds, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Just real quick, can you talk about, I know that we just approved a gas rate increase, and I know that when the utilities board heard the utilities budget, that was not included in that, right? Because it was afterwards. And so I just was hoping you could talk about that briefly, or perhaps Ms. Walsh.
Thank you very much,
Just to explain
Mayor,
that.
Councilor Bencomo. I know while Delilah walks up here, I know that just to explain some of the decrease in there, it's just from their bond funding that has been, they're making progress on those payments and bringing those balances down.
Okay, that's a very good thing then.
Delilah Walsh.
Thank you, Councilor. Mr. Mayor, Delilah Walsh, Utilities Director, for the record. Matt is correct. However, Councilor Bencomo, you're absolutely right. We did not include the new rates with this budget proposal because it hadn't been approved at the time of submission. So we will be coming back to you with a first quarter adjustment once we have the estimations of that anticipated revenue.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh, for clarifying that. And then, Matt, just so that I'm clear, the 1.3 increase for transit, that hasn't changed since last time we discussed, right? At work session?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, so the majority of transit is grant funded. So those numbers will fluctuate throughout the year, and then as we bring those on, it'll increase our expenditure balance.
Okay, thank you, Matt. That's all my questions, Mayor. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Members of the public? Yes, George? Got 4 minutes. Just need you to state your name, please.
Thank you. My name is George Pearson, and I'm president of Velo Crucis, a local bicycle and pedestrian advocacy organization. I've heard it said that if you really want to see the policies of your local government, look at the budget. There's been a lot of discussion of bicyclist and pedestrian safety by council. Thank you, Councilor Gandara, for continuing to bring this topic forward. However, what I see in the budget doesn't really reflect what I hear. The active transportation plan, for example, on page 41, lists the priority capital bikeway projects. The #1 project on the list is a separated bike lane on Idaho between Maine and Solano. I'm not able to find this project in the budget. The Hadley Bike Boulevard has been in the MPO planning documents for probably 15 or 20 years, and that's not on the budget anyplace. So we go through extensive planning efforts, but they don't always seem to end up in the budget. I appreciate that there are grants that the city uses for some of these projects, but grant funding is not assured. I think a more direct approach needs to be reflected in the budget. The Idaho and El Paseo corridors have been hotspots for fatal and serious injury crashes. The budget needs to reflect this and the importance of improving traffic safety issues in Las Cruces. Thank you.
Thanks, George.
So, Mary, George did come to our public hearing and address us with the budget staff. And just from what we found from our research and discussion with other departments is that Public Works does take a look at those types of items when they're looking to renovate the street and plan. And I don't know if David would like to add any additional information on this, or someone from community development. But those types of things are worked into the plan as they're looking for upgrades.
Okay. All right, anyone else? Okay, Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 22-141. Councilor Abeyta is absent. Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Coran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Gondara?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, now we're going to go to 8.4, which is Resolution 22-142. Need a motion and a second.
Move to approve.
Second by Flores.
Motion made by Councilor Bencomo, second by Councilor Flores. Is there any questions or comments on this? Did you all have any follow-up on this one? No? Members of the public? Seeing none. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 22-142. Councilor Abeyta is absent. Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Gondeta?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Okay, next we go to board appointments. And looks like to the Health and Human Services Advisory Board, Councilor Abeyta would like to appoint Mary Kay Papin for District 2 appointment. And then to the Economic Development PRC, Mr. Peter Martinez, Workforce Development. That's going to be a new appointment, and I'm going to need a motion and a second for that.
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion made by Councilor Flores, second by Councilor Coran. Christine?
This is on the motion to appoint Peter Martinez to the Economic Development PRC. Councilor Abeyta is absent. Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Coran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Gondeta?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, next is the notice of proposed ordinances. Be no public discussion, and councilor may ask staff for clarification on any proposed ordinance. So next one is 10.1, Council Bill number 22-024, ordinance number 3002.
Bring it forward.
All right, bring it forward. Okay, now we go to City Council member board reports and comment. A couple weeks ago, I mentioned about the possibility of a sign for the victims of the bowling alley massacre. And council asked if I'd reached out to the members of the family. So I talked to I think she was the detective back then. She reached out to the family, and they would be more than happy to have that. It was going to just really be more of a sign in that vicinity. And then this is something here that I think we'd like to maybe have a work session on, but I was talking with EFO earlier when one of the members of the speakers brought forth, they specifically asked for an advisory committee, we have a lot of advisory committees. I think that's something that probably we can do and maybe we can expand it to public safety, not just for police, but fire. There may be things that the public, I think it gives the ability for the public to share with us what their concerns are and then relay it to the city council. But again, this is more of an advisory I think that would be fine. Maybe we'll have, if that's okay, we'll have EFO start working with staff to see how we can maybe implement that. But if it works like the other advisory committees, like I have advisory committee on Veterans Affairs, I have advisory committee on various other projects with the top teens, and so members of the public are invited to apply, and then they meet, and then they share with them. Maybe they'll have questions. Hey, is this provided? If it isn't, is that something we can provide? Again, it's really strictly advisory. I see no downside to that. So if that's okay with you, then just have EFO and his team start working on something to bring back. Okay. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I think that'd be an excellent idea to have the staff and EFO look into starting that. How would they be incorporated already with our Public Safety Select Committee?
Oh, no, this would be strictly,
in addition?
yeah, this wouldn't be in addition.
Okay.
I think it's just members of the public so that they can meet, so they can have their opportunity to be able to basically see what they would like to see, what they wouldn't, and vice versa, and again, be able to relay those concerns to our public safety departments.
Okay. A couple of weeks, maybe it's been a little longer than that, there have been some individuals breaking into the city-owned property on Mesquite Street. I know codes have come in and worked with Mr. Peely to further secure the building. I was hoping that we could have some public meetings related to the property and what the next steps were as it relates to whether this would be turned to affordable housing. I'd like to remind council and the public that it's a historic building. There are several people on the Mesquite District that would like to see it made historically rehabilitated, although and be it something like a maybe a space for artists and residents where you live, work, and play. And I was hoping that the staff could begin to look at holding a few public meetings to hear what the public would like to see done with that particular property. I attended for mayor the groundbreaking for the House of Mercy that will be sponsored by Gospel Rescue Mission. I think it will fit a need specific to our homeless population. There was the Greater Chamber and the Green Chamber there. It was a nice celebration. Also, Councilor Bencomo and I have been working on putting together a meeting for May 26th, specific to our church, our faith organizations, with the help of Reverend Caroline, and I'm spacing her name. Councilor Bencomo, can you help me?
Carolyn. The Reverend Caroline.
The Caroline is the last name, yes, no? Yeah. And Wilkins. And she's been very helpful to bring us both, Councilor Bencomo and I, together. I appreciate Councilor Bencomo and her willingness to work in tandem with that. So we've had some letters developed, and special thanks to Annette and Patty, because I think they're sending letters out to a little over 100 churches in our city in hopes that we would have a facilitated discussion about what they're doing and what the city's doing, and just speaking to gaps and barriers. And we'll have a very specific ask in relation to the harder to reach populations. So then Saturday, it's one of my favorite events, if not the favorite event, is the Fiesta de la Primavera. Special thanks to April Christensen and all the work that she does. It's a youth market and contest, and they work towards building their own business. And I, for the first time, had the older youth. This was, I think, 13 to 16 or 18, and they were amazing. The things that they have come up with, their business plan, how they promoted the product was fantastic. And so I really enjoyed that. Mayor, we have a youth team, a robotics team that went, I think, to the national, I don't know quite, but I was asked for some Las Cruces stuff and unable to get that to them. But I was hoping that we could honor them. The robotics team, I think it's important that we do that. And I don't know if they placed, I hadn't heard back. I don't know if this was the same team, Councilor Bencomo, that Councilor Sanchez, Commissioner Sanchez's daughter went to, but she and Delilah's daughter, she's going to come up. Oh, wonderful! She's going to tell us. I faltered in my opportunity to send Cruz's Chris's stuff with them, City of Las Cruces. I thought I had a backpack and couldn't find it, and so I'm so sorry. But I thought I would do better and say, come, we should honor them. I think they did fantastic.
So thank you, Councilor Gambara, and I am a proud mom, so I
Of
was going to take
course.
that opportunity. But Mesa Middle School sent 3 teams, and Picacho Middle School sent 1 team to the VEX Robotics World Championships in Dallas.
There you go, yeah.
And they did come in middling. I know my daughter was not last. That's what she told me.
Okay, that's good.
But the older teams did really well, and I think that would be excellent to
We
have
should honor both those teams. I think it's fantastic that they took the opportunity and all the work and preparation that it takes to get up there.
And it was pretty cool that Las Cruces represented all of New Mexico.
Yes, that's cool. So Mayor, if we could, that would be awesome to have them here and give them certificates and such. And I think that's it. That's all for now, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Flores.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to focus on the many people, to thank the people who appeared today on behalf of Señora Vaca. And I believe that Dr. Flores, Ernie Flores, who's a psychiatrist, and Señora Flores, his wife, spoke eloquently to how important it is to have a community police action commission and to have the community, to have the power to interface with each other and all of us come together. So I think this might be consistent with what you've proposed, Mr. Mayor. I hope. Is it consistent with what you've proposed? I just want to make sure.
Councilor Flores, what I heard was, that, in fact, if you probably view the video, she talked about an advisory committee, and I thought, okay, I mean, that's good. I mean, that way they'll have the public's opportunity to kind of share, you know, does the department do this, or do they do that, or can we do this, or can we do that? That's what I heard, advisory committee.
Okay, well,
because we have the outside agencies. First was PERF, and then the other one that we have, and those are to review the various things.
Are you talking about OIR?
OIR, yes.
Okay. I think it's important to have people truly understand what our internal processes are and how then they're sent over to OIR. My understanding is that the OIR only reviews what they're given. And in review of their report, they did make recommendations, and I think those recommendations were to strengthen some of the areas. But it was almost as if they, I mean, I'd have to speak to them, and I can't wait for them to present again. I think they're due pretty soon. To ask them exactly what was it that prompted them to make certain recommendations, if in fact, I mean, yeah, it seems like they did see that not everything, and I would make this request to Mr. Peely openly and publicly, that the police department is sending up to OIR everything and not to omit anything, because OIR can only do their external audit based on the information they receive. And I also would like to ask Mr. Peely to assure that the Las Cruces Police Department is following up on the recommendations, and I would like to have reports back to City Council based on the recommendations that OIR has made. We haven't received anything like that so far. And so I think all of us, the entire community has been moved by the killing, the death, or the whatever. I don't want to use any term except, well, the killing of a 75-year-old woman. I think we've all seen the video, or several videos, and we need to make sure that our police officers, I think I've mentioned this to IFO, but I will say it publicly. I think that there's something not quite right with the many incidents we've had regarding police behavior and actions taken by police officers. And I think that there has to be more of a psychological profile before hiring. You have to look at the backgrounds, and with all due respect to veterans, I have my father and two brothers, veterans of wars. And I see, the family has seen the damage, the psychological damage that war causes. So hiring police officers who perhaps have served in the military, as thankful as I am to them, to the veterans, may not be the right psychological profile you might want to be a police officer. I think that police officers should also be peace officers. And the young man apparently who pulled the trigger and killed the 75-year-old woman had been on the force 7 or 9 years. And one would think, well, this is an experienced person. But in fact, as Dr. Green pointed out, it had been, or may have pointed out, that it was actually reported as a medical intervention request, and this particular officer didn't have that. As far as the information I have, I might be wrong, but that's the information I have. So I would like to make sure that we can either have a resolution that addresses all of this to assure that the city sees it, that our city manager sees it as a directive from the city council, and to set policy that this is, New Mexico is already I think the #1 state in police killings, which is definitely something that Albuquerque has contributed to, and I believe Las Cruces isn't too far behind. So we don't need this to go any further or to continue this way. So that would be what I would request, Mr. Mayor and fellow councilors, in that regard. So the other is the Mary Martinez White's Downwinders presentation. It's really absolutely heartbreaking how I don't know what department it was back then. It was July, or what was it? It was April 1945, when the testing took place. And then the testing there was used to bomb in August of 1945, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And the US government was very proud about that because apparently that bombing was the reason the war ended. And I think that, in my humble opinion, it was just a justification for unnecessary killing of two cities that were literally obliterated, and innocents died because of that. But we have our people here, and as Ms. Martinez White mentioned, or may have not mentioned, but I have read that everyone in New Mexico is in great peril because that it stays in the environment for, 25,000 years. So I just want to make sure that we perhaps, I don't know if we would send a resolution. Apparently, the state of New Mexico is in support of the RICA funding, but I don't know if the city could do something too. Perhaps the mayor could send a letter to the mayor's groups of organizations of mayors or whatever. But that's it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Councilor Cran?
Thank you. I just want to sort of honor the folks that are here and the feelings that our community is going through right now. And acknowledge that we're here listening compassionately, and I think I can speak for all of us to say that we're not really satisfied with just listening. And I think that the public comment today really demonstrated a number of things that make these types of conversations really complicated. And I think we're all committed to taking action that is complicated and can understand the nuance of the things that are going on in our community, and the way that our city interfaces with that nuance. And so I'm really, I just want to acknowledge that we hear the folks that came and the folks who are in the community talking about this and the feelings and traumas that people are experiencing, and we're committed to a complicated, thoughtful approach to addressing complicated and nuanced issues in our community that are really pressing. So to close that and recognize that in my comments, I just want to give a few other notes. I really should have a lot of gratitude for the budget folks in particular for keeping us in the loop and informed and really giving us a lot of information along the way that enabled us to have this conversation today and understand what's going on as a newbie to this. I really appreciated everyone who participated and your sort of answering questions and helping me understand how the budget works and where things are. So I wanted to give gratitude for that process. I also had the opportunity to attend this weekend the Mutt and Meow Fest, which again, I was staffed by ASCMV volunteers and some folks from the Chamber of Commerce Leadership Academy, and the dogs got to be I'm not sure how many dogs were being adopted, but it was really hot, both literally and figuratively, to see the dogs on the runway and getting their sort of names and faces out there in the community, and so that was really great. So the ASCMV folks who were out there volunteering in the heat, I really want to give my appreciation to them. And then my last note is related to the TSI, the Transportation Sustainability and Infrastructure, PRC. We have been having really great conversations about the El Paseo Solano corridor. Next up, we're going to be really we're going to be going through a process of looking at policy priorities that are included in our strategic plan, in particular, with a particular focus on ones that we can prioritize and bring forward in the near future related to infrastructure and sustainability in particular. So please stay tuned for that upcoming TSI meeting if you're interested in that. Those are all the questions that I have, or all of the comments I have. I have many questions, but always thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Bencomo.
Thanks, Mayor. And thank you so much, Councilor Curran, for those comments you made about just honoring the public comment that was here today, the feelings in this chamber, but also across our community. I appreciate those words. And it is difficult. They are difficult conversations. Dr. Green even said that we have to face these questions and these conversations. And, there was one public comment that said, I've heard a lot of people bashing the police here, and I just want to clarify that asks and concerns about wanting a more professional police department, a more accountable police department, a more thoughtful and compassionate police department, that is not bashing the police. That is people asking for bare minimum, in my opinion. And, Mayor, I think I'm glad you're shifting to considering an advisory committee. However, I would like to propose that this be set up not exactly like the oversight board, but similar to the oversight board through ordinance with ex officio members of the council, which I would like to formally submit my name for that if this moves forward. But additionally, with membership that contains a member of an organization who works on police accountability matters, people from a directly impacted community, people that have been impacted by police violence and brutality, a mental health professional, and a civil rights attorney. And I think we are at a crossroads, and we need to take this seriously. And there are people in our community who have expertise. There are people in our community who have a desire and a willingness to serve in something like this, who can provide, ideas on policy, ideas on procedure, ideas that can flourish into ways that we can save lives. And I think we need to take that seriously. And I think an advisory committee would be great, but I think the moment we are currently in calls for a much more serious approach. And so my proposal is that we come up with something similar to the Oversight Committee through ordinance with the membership that I just proposed, so that we can have a better idea about what members of the public are feeling, and how we can improve policing in our community, because it's time. It's been time. And, you know, I thought it was going to change after 2022, and it hasn't. So I'm making a pretty serious ask right now that we consider this in a much more serious and thoughtful manner. But I'll say that, and I'll continue to move on unless anybody wanted to respond to that, Mayor. I, of course, wanted to just take a moment to give my condolences to the families that were impacted by police violence and white supremacy in Buffalo. And, you know, it brought back all kinds of feelings and trauma after the El Paso event, and how much of a crisis white supremacy is in this country, and what it has done to communities across this country. And I just want to take a moment to honor those lives as well. On a much lighter note, last week I did a cannabis tour of District 4, and visited 3 cannabis businesses in the district that are frankly just amazing. Every single one of them has a totally different vibe, for lack of a better word. I'm excited to see the kind of entrepreneurship that is growing from this industry. I mean, it was young people, it was folks that were born and raised in Las Cruces, it was women, it was people of color. It was really incredible, and I highly encourage you all to visit those in your district, because it's really great hearing from them about what they're doing and their ideas and their plans. And so I'm very excited about supporting the industry. I mean, if I wasn't supporting them before, after visiting them, I'm sold. And then lastly, I just wanted to thank economic development staff for all of their work last week during Economic Development Week, particularly on the meeting they hosted for El Paseo South Solano small businesses. It was a really good turnout. People brought tons of concerns, lots of folks who have good ideas and they want to participate in a solution, and I'm excited to be part of that. I'm excited to be part of the West Picacho revitalization that I'm working with Carla and members of the community policing partnership department, and other folks. So just wanted to give a shout out to Economic Development for, I think, a successful week last week. So, and then this Wednesday at 1 o'clock, second floor, we have a Housing Policy Review Committee meeting that I'm very much looking forward to. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Graham.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to add my voice to those of my colleagues for the incredibly complicated and heartbreaking situation that we're facing as a community, also as a nation. And all I can say is that I add my personal commitment to working on this in meaningful and impactful ways. I recognize that the jobs that we're asking our first responders to do have been evolving so drastically in the last several years. I mean, I think if anything, the most common theme I've heard in my short time as a counselor across so many different issues and concerns is mental health. We had our proclamation today for Mental Health Awareness Month, and this has to be woven so intimately into everything that we're doing, from our fire, our emergency responders, to police. And I just want to extend my commitment to being a part of that conversation. the rest of my comments are definitely on lighter notes. Also shouting out economic development, and particularly had a great time participating in a video that I did, and also an extra shout out to NMCO, one of our stellar small businesses, primary office right in my district of 3. So I appreciate their expertise and patience as I try to be on-camera talent, not very well. Thank you to Public Works for the second half of a very cool orientation. So thank you, Director Cedillo, also Tony Trevino, Jimmy Moreno, and Jennifer Morrow. Thanks to you. Now, every time I drive past new construction, I am a personal expert on all of the pipes and things I see being put out. Thank you for that thumbs up. Perhaps a little annoying to those around me, as I'm like, you know, the blue is water. And finally, a big congratulations to so many members of the City of Las Cruces team. It was graduation week for NMSU DACC last week, and we had a lot of people on staff who were proud graduates, also some of their kids, some of their grandkids. So it was really cool to see the celebrations around City Hall. So congratulations to all of those graduates. And thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. All right, with that, City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to begin with, a couple of just FYIs from Economic Development Week last week. There's some things that haven't been mentioned that I kind of want to mention. In economic development, we talk a lot about business recruitment and retention, and also housing. But a lot of times we don't talk about the work that's going on in workforce development. And with Dr. Payadas here, really appreciate all that he does. That's kind of his focus, not only as the Deputy Economic Development Director, but also focusing on workforce development. So this is, we had our 4th concurrent job fair last week, had 91 job seekers and 54 employers from all over the region. Agencies and businesses coming from our city, Albuquerque, El Paso, Santa Teresa, Luna, and Grant counties. This makes Las Cruces a central place to find employment in our region. And so, again, this is the fourth job fair so far. Also, there's a financial literacy course that's graduating. This is the 4th cohort this Tuesday and Wednesday, with 9 graduates in English and 11 in Spanish, where residents of the city learn about savings, budgeting, credit fixing, and preventing predatory lending practices. And so, yes, just a kudos to Dr. Payadas and his team, and working on workforce development. As we mentioned before, with economic development, it is a 3-pronged approach. And it's business recruitment, retention, housing, and certainly workforce development. And I think I really appreciate the Economic Development Department for moving forward that way. Also, Chief Smith just texted me and said Fire Station 3 is operational today, first day of operation. So we're happy about that. Regards to our. He also, I don't know if this was meant for the report or he's just giving me an FYI, but we're moving right along with our CIT hiring. We'd like to move as fast as we can, and so it's been advertised, and we're starting to receive, positions, and hiring we start after the coordinator is brought on. And so we're trying to move on that as quick as possible. And if I can just conclude, I know, Mayor and Council, you've probably seen statements that I've made from the City Manager's office in the newspaper. I want you all to know, and the public to know as well, that, and I know I can speak for Chief, that we are heartbroken, and this is tragic. This is a tragic incident. I won't speak too much more about this specific incident, because we know, our officer, as with all other cases like this, is technically a suspect in a criminal investigation. And so until that's done, There's not much more that we can say on that. It'd be presented to the district attorney's office, and we let the process take its course that way. But just as you are, we are committed to keeping people accountable. We're committed to the principles of all that's been mentioned, and I know I can speak for myself and also Chief and his administration. We also hear and get the complaints as well, and get the comments from our constituents, and we hear them as well. And I know, Council, you've hired myself and in turn with Chief Dominguez to be able to move forward on this, and we're committed. We're committed to again, keep people accountable. And in this circumstance, like I said, I'm not commenting specifically about this circumstance because we let the process and the investigation take its course. But I just want you to know we also feel, we also hear, and I really do appreciate all the good work that our officers do on a daily basis as well. And again, committed to keep people and officers accountable for things that are not done appropriately. But I think that's all I have, Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity.
Of course. Okay, thank you, Ifo. Okay, if there's nothing further, intend motion to adjourn.
So moved by Flores.
Second, Bencomo.
A motion made by Councilor Flores, second by Councilor Bencomo. Christine?
This is on the motion to adjourn the regular meeting. Councilor Abeyta is absent. Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Gandara?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. Okay, we're adjourned. It's 3:55 p.m. Thank you. Have a good afternoon, evening.